My name is Sweetie Abochi, and right here on the AM show this morning, we'll be serving you breakfast. We'll start by serving you the AM news, the first news bulletin on the channel. We'll follow up with the news review segment, and today we'll be joined by the Honorable David Vondi, MP for Chifu Atimokwa, as well as other personalities, Dr. Ezekiel Obing from the NPP communications team. And then those two will join us to review the various stories captured in the newspapers. Muftan Abil Abdullahi will then bring you AM Sports, the latest updates in the world of sports. And then we pivot into our big stories. But you know how we do it on Thursdays. We bring you AM Exclusive. And on AM Exclusive today, we bring you a fascinating interview with the German ambassador to Ghana, Daniel Crew, on a wide array of issues. You don't want to miss that with Benjamin Nakakwa. I know you've seen him, you haven't seen him in a bit, so stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we'll bring you AM Business, where we'll hear from some companies poised to offer irresistible discounts as we inch closer to the major event, the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. And James Eshen, of course, is on that beat, bringing us all the details and updates. You want to join us for these and many other conversations coming your way this morning on the AM show, your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay with us. Let's start with the AM News. Many thanks for your company. This is the AM News. Details now. Now, hell is breaking loose over who should be held responsible for the latest controversy surrounding a whopping $111.4 million default on judgment debt ruling awarded against the Republic of Ghana by a district court in the United States of America. For close to 4 years, oil conglomerate Trafigura, through its Ghana Power Generation Company, has been on the heels of the government of Ghana for terminating a power purchase agreement in spite of the award of $134 million as judgment debt issued against Ghana by a tribunal in the United Kingdom. But Trafigura is now scaling up its debt recovery following a successful secure of a court order from the United States, asking the Republic of Ghana to pay a total sum of $111.4 million plus a mandatory interest, which has compounded after the court's ruling. But how did Ghana get to this stage, and what are the damages involved? We have been speaking to the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Dolo, who is taking on the Attorney General and, by extension, the government over their inaction.
Attorney General's Department and the Ministry for Energy, what were they doing? Did they sleep on the job? Or they realized that, look, the arbitration settlement was on such strong legal terms that it was not worth challenging. That could also be an option. But I also know for a fact that even after the arbitration settlement, the government of Ghana agreed to engage Trafigura with a settlement plan. And one of the options Ghana government explored at the time was even to pay for the plant and take over the plant. Again, we went to sleep. And this is not the first of such issues we've had, where we go to arbitration, there is a judgment against us, we agree a settlement, and then we renege on it.
Attorney General Godfred Yeboadam is challenging the position of the former Power Minister as he explained circumstances that may have led to a default in the judgment debt. In brief, Godfred Dame says he cannot take responsibility for the non-payment of the arrears, claiming that another sector minister is responsible for making payments. Listen to him.
After the entry of the arbitral award, which is final, the only obligation left is for the state, which is the judgment debtor, to pay. So it is a failure of the government of Ghana to pay this judgment debt entered in January 2021, which has led to repeated applications in various courts by GPGC. You remember that about some few months ago, our High Commissioner to England, Papa Wilson Kuma, was actually on radio, on your network, lamenting the seizure of Somerset and all that. And that was settled in such a way that the assets were released from attachment. The government of Ghana subsequently paid some amount of money, but it was not in full settlement of the judgment debt. So the judgment debt is still outstanding. So the explanation for the failure to pay now does not lie with the Attorney General. It lies with the Ministry of Finance. It is actually a matter between Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Energy. And as far as I'm concerned, any role to be played by the Attorney General did not happen in my time or tenure as Attorney General. So really, the only obligation left is to pay. It's for the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Energy to negotiate means of paying the judgment debt. And it's the same thing. It is not a new judgment debt for people to now scream as if, with all respect, I had defaulted on any duty at all. In my tenure as Attorney General, there has not been a single judgment debt.
In other stories, academic activities have yet to fully resume on the campuses of colleges of education in the Ashanti region, despite the recent end of a 2-month strike by the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana. The strike was called off after CTAG reached an agreement with the government regarding the implementation of compulsory arbitral award orders. However, many students who had left campus during the strike have not yet returned to school. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reports that teacher trainees are now calling for an extension of the academic calendar to compensate for the lost time and ensure they can recover or cover the necessary coursework.
Life is yet to be restored on campuses of the colleges of education in the Ashanti region. At the St. Louis College of Education, classrooms remain empty as students are yet to return to school for continuation of the academic year. For 9 weeks now, teachers at the various colleges of education abandoned classrooms in agitation for better working conditions. The teacher trainees were left stranded.
We're just studying because when we wake up, you have nothing doing. So you have to go for your book so that you can just learn at least one definition and you are good to go, because you don't have anything to write at the end of the day.
The time is so limited for us to achieve it all, but I think the teachers should put much effort to help us so that we, the students, can also help ourselves.
The situation is similar at the Wesley College of Education as the school's administration awaits the arrival of students. Student leadership is demanding compensation for the lost time.
Since we came here, we have not been given any academic materials. So what are you studying? Where are you even studying? Yeah, so this has been some of the challenges that we are facing. Students are eagerly to learn on their own, but where is the material to learn on your own? We have not been having any access to all the teaching and learning material. So in fact, it has been very terrible for us.
It's barely 3 weeks for the 2023-2024 academic calendar to end to usher in a new semester. The trainees want an extension of the calendar with their 3 months arrears of allowances paid.
If they want to use this few weeks for us to learn everything and write exams, it is not going to help us. So we are pleading that there would be an extension of the academic calendar so that we can also learn at the ending of the semester, and we are supposed to add some months. You see, add some months to the semester. So definitely we have lost a lot. We have some monies that the government also had to give to us as teacher trainees. That is our allowance. But then since we came to this semester, we have not received any. We have not received the allowance.
Chairman for CTAG in Ashanti region, Bono and Ahafo regions, Paul Mensah, wants convenient arrangements for effective completion of the academic year.
So for us, our examining body are the affiliate universities. So they also know that a greater part of the semester is lost. So they will also have to decide if they want the exam to be done as scheduled, then it will mean that a lot of work would have to be put in place, which will mean that maybe we may have to go extra mile to cover what we have lost. But I think the best would be, that is my opinion, to have a means of extending, because what is left is just about 2-3 weeks.
These seats yearn for its regular users, the students, and hopefully in the coming days they would get to enjoy the comforts they have always wanted. The students back in classroom enjoying their lessons. From here at the St. Louis College of Education, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
The second day of the voter exhibition exercise continued to reward dwindling turnout at various polling centers in the Ashanti region. Some potential voters who were yet to confirm their details cited their reluctance to political apathy. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku again has more from the Ashanti region.
All right, so it's the second day of the voter exhibition exercise that is happening across the country and even in the Ashanti region. And I'm currently here at the Menchia South constituency to find out how the situation is. Unfortunately, yesterday there was a slow start, and then we are hoping that as the days go by, the numbers increase. That's according to the Electoral Commission. But I'll quickly interact with this EC official here to find out from her what so far she's been able to record since this exercise actually began. Good morning. First day. I want to understand, how was it for you yesterday?
Yesterday it was normal. People were not coming back. It's cool.
Yesterday people weren't coming. So the entire day, how many numbers do you get?
7.
7 out of
288.
288. So out of this 7, how many are females and then how many are males?
Male 6, female 1.
Okay. So, and then the age bracket, do you have any idea?
The age, that from 22 to, I think, 20, it starts from 30 to the 60 column. Okay. Those are coming.
So meaning the younger ones are not coming?
No.
What could check you in, Anna?
Minyan check it.
I didn't hear.
And you be about some starting Monday, every Friday. But
I will go and check before it ends, but I don't know why they have to make us pay for checking our details online.
I did the registration at Accra, but seriously right now I'm at Kumasi, I'm working here, and I don't have a transportation. So if someone is willing to help me with transportation, I think I can go and check it.
I've gone to check my details, but I'm not sure I'll be voting.
December.
Oh, menya sure some better and some to say duro.
Onye sure so better about. I didn't know what check.
Oh, some person in case last meeting person better na mama ba. Check here.
So the numbers, well, on the second day has been encouraging quite a bit, but the EC officials are hoping that a majority of the numbers can come around and check their details in the voter album. From here at the Menchia South constituency in the Ashanti region, my name is Emmanuel Bransquick.
As we enter day 3 today, we continue to monitor and bring you updates. But moving on, Upper West Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu has issued a stern warning that the road construction equipment distributed under the District Road Improvement Program, that is the DRIP program, to metropolitan and district assemblies is strictly for public use and not for the personal benefit of politicians. He emphasized that these resources are intended to address the road challenges faced by communities and should not be exploited at the discretion of any political figure. Stephen Yakubu also assured that the central government will provide the necessary fuel for the equipment, ensuring they are used exclusively for community-driven projects. He made these remarks while handing over the first consignment of road improvement equipment to the MDAs in the region. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
A total of 2,240 units of state-of-the-art road equipment under the District Road Improvement Program, DRIP, are to be distributed to metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies in the country, marking a significant boost to the country's road infrastructure. The equipment includes water tankers, backhoes, motor graders, rollers, tipper trucks, concrete mixers, wheel loaders, land loaders, and bulldozers. Some 5,000 Ghanaian construction workers are expected to gain direct jobs from the program. The 11 municipal and districts in the Upper West region have been allocated a total of a little over 100 units of the state-of-the-art road equipment. Upper West Regional Minister, Ambassador Stephen Yakubu, noted that the equipment has arrived at a critical time given the deteriorating state of roads in the region. The Upper West region has one of the worst roads in the country that give nightmares to commuters or at worst killing or maiming them.
We still have a lot of problems with our roads, and you know, Upper West here is a food basket of the country. So we need to make sure that every farm, every village, every hamlet, there is a way to get access roads to get there, and that is exactly what we want to do. What we have now, I've decided to integrate what we have and then distribute them to the assemblies. As they are working, there's no time to waste at all. I'm not going to allow the machines to be sitting here. From today, immediately after here, we're going to put them to the assemblies and they will start work.
He reaffirmed that the program is genuinely driven by community needs and not by the fiat of any politician.
So money is going to come from the central point so that we fuel them, pay the drivers, the operators, I would say, and then they will go on any route that the community wants. This is going to be a community-driven thing. It's not going to be that a politician sits here because his house is here. No. It's a community-driven thing.
Dean of Municipal and District Chief Executives, Isagotari Mumin, on behalf of the group, expressed their appreciation to the President, stating that the equipment will greatly assist in improving the region's roads.
I think this is a game changer. It is something that has never happened before, and I'm sure that the benefits will drive the benefit from implementation.
Kundar K. Venosios, who serves as the acting coordinator of DRIP and the regional coordinator of Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, spoke of the comprehensive maintenance plan that has been established to ensure that the equipment remains in good condition.
That J Plant Pool will be responsible for supplying us with spare parts. How you see these machines around, should any of them, a pin, just a pin, break, not anything concerning this machine, if it's not the J Plant Pool will quickly bring it in. It will not be like the past whereby the assemblies receive the equipment and maybe just a single knot or a bolt will fall and then they will say no money and eventually the machine will grind to a halt. This time round, in fact, Ghanaians will see a positive change.
The optics for now looks good, but with the poor maintenance culture of the people, maintaining this slew of air-moving equipment is a test many already know they will fail. It is time to prove them wrong. Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam. Wah!
Chairman of the Otumfuo said the Second Foundation has disclosed that 2 of the 5 blocks under rehabilitation at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital will be, according to Professor Oheneba Boachieje, the unstable CD exchange rate adversely impacted procurement of items for the health of Komfo-Anokye projects. Speaking to Joy News at the Foundation's health screening event, he called on Ghanaians to continue supporting the project.
The Hill Komfo-Anokye project was launched in October 2023 to mobilize funds for the rehabilitation of the premier health institution in the Ashanti region. The project set a target to raise $10 million to put the old G blocks at the hospital in good shape. The Otumfuo's Hiahene, Professor Oheneba Boachieje, says 2 of the 5 blocks are expected to be commissioned in 2 months.
Yeah, the Hill Komfo-Anokye project is coming along quite well. I think where the work is ongoing, and to my knowledge, 2 floors will be completed within a month or 2, and will become the model floors that will be presented to the king sometime in September, October. But it's going on quite well, but we're still appealing to the general public to continue to support the Hill Komfo-Anokye project.
He spoke to Adum News when Otumfuo Foundation organized a health screening exercise for the aged.
We want to thank Otumfuo II, His Royal Majesty, for the opportunity to hold this health fair at the Menchia Palace. It is because of him that we are here today doing what he has commissioned us to do.
A member of the International Healthcare Volunteers, Dr. Jennifer Edufrempong, advised against diabetes.
Healthcare for hypertension, diabetes, which also leads to eye diseases, are a big problem in the Black community. It's not just even in Ghana, it's everywhere. So part of our initiative was to educate us, not just if you have the disease, but actually do an education campaign about it so that people will continue to have yearly checkups, make that part of their commitment to their health, and make health, as I said, a priority.
Joseph Obains reports for Joy News.
Health authorities in the Adansi North and Seche Kumewu districts of the Ashanti region have expressed confidence that the newly commissioned hospitals in these areas will significantly reduce preventable deaths. The two state-of-the-art facilities, built by British firm NMS Infrastructure Limited, collectively offer 240 beds for patients. Lawrence Adiku, the district health director for Seche Kumewu, is optimistic that these hospitals will drastically improve patient outcome to the extent that mortuary workers may find themselves with little to do. According to Adinku, the improved healthcare services at these facilities will greatly limit patients' fatalities. Here's more from my colleague Ohiming Tewia of our health desk.
President Akufo-Addo on July 17, 2024, commissioned the two district hospitals designed, constructed, and equipped by NMS Infrastructure. Fanfare greeted the commissioning ceremonies after several years of waiting by beneficiary communities. Excited about the prospects of the new hospitals, Group Chairman of the NMS Infrastructure, Frederick Su, is convinced the new facilities will deliver quality health care to beneficiary community.
It represents an improvement in the accessibility of modern health care, and it provides modern working environment for the healthcare staff. Most importantly, it provides proximity of modern health care for the patients.
The new Adansi North District Hospital aspires to be a specialized maternal and child health treatment center. In 2023, before the operationalization of the new district hospital, the district recorded 11 neonatal deaths. Health authorities say this will be a thing of the past following the commissioning and operationalization of the district hospital. Eric Etuahine is the district director of health. He tells Joy News the district is already seeing a reduction in the top 10 health conditions since the new hospital was operationalized.
As we speak now, we haven't recorded any maternal mortality, and so we pray that with more interventions and more staff to come and support the delivery.
His counterpart at Seche Kumewu district, Lawrence Adinku, believes the new facilities have the capacity to save lives. He is optimistic mortuary attendants at the facilities will have no work to do because limited deaths will be recorded at the facilities.
You can see the ultramodern hospital we are all witnessing. We can talk of all the equipment that we need. So for me, at a point I was even asking myself, when we have the mortuary staff posted to me, I asked myself, the mortuary will we be getting work to do at all? Because everything virtually we need to work as a hospital, we have it. In terms of infrastructure, everything is here. Infrastructure, equipment. What I mean is that whatever we need as a hospital to function, we have it here. But unless somebody is destined to die, my thinking is that we have everything we need. Whatever system that needs to be put in place to take care of the clients who will be coming to us, we have all of them in place. So unless somebody is destined or that person's time is up for him to die, if it happens to be the system or equipment we need or whatever to work with, for those ones, forget it. We have everything in place.
Meanwhile, the medical superintendent for Seche Kumewu District Hospital, Dr. Alex Agbanu, wants NMS Infrastructure to lead the charge in replicating similar facilities across the country.
I've been here for over 8 years, and I remember there's so many cases that we had to refer to other hospitals in Kumasi. Sometimes simple investigation like X-ray, you have to send people to Kumasi, and it's uncomfortable for the patients, sometimes uncomfortable for the healthcare providers. So this one has come, to take all this burden away. If you go around and look at the design, and the way it has been built and the way equipment have been installed, I think they deserve that kind of praise from His Excellency the President of the Republic. Because I've been to so many other hospitals, and you will not see the kind of things we are seeing here. The design is so great. If you walk around, you see how things are arranged. It's so fantastic. So NMS has done so well. from what I'm seeing, I recommend this kind of infrastructure if it can be replicated in every district.
The 2 district hospitals have since been opened to the general public. Ohime Interior's report read to you.
Senior Presidential Advisor Yao Safamafo has cautioned against the frequent practice of alternating leadership every 8 years, comparing it to a seesaw that disrupts national development. He made these remarks in Achimota during the 3rd phase of the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate tour in the Eastern region. My colleague Maso Kudeko has more.
Mr. Osafumafo suggests that the frequent changes in leadership disrupt the continuity of developmental projects and policies, ultimately slowing down the country's progress. He stressed that a more sustained approach to leadership would allow for better planning and implementation of initiatives that benefits the nation.
Ya muma ya mfa Ghana amayosam no nya donko wudi ya adonko a omanu entumpon da esese ye gina faako ne ye hwe omanu ne yeye sese ye tra yeye ana MPP for the crash bi aba ye frɛ no Dr. Baumia no ono nko ana donko no betimi agina no adonko no Baumia nko ana betimi amena gina faako enti mfie nwotwe no ɛho ni mfa so mi message to mu no na mfie nwotwe no ɛho ni mfa so ɔman bia ni ewiase a atumpa a yɛto na donko ɛkɔ ha na ba na kɔ ha na ba yɛnya ne saa Ghana yɛba Baumia o yɛbɛgyina adonko no no wa breki 8 no no wa kɔ so.
Vice President of the Republic of Ghana and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, also commissioned a newly constructed assembly block and a newly constructed 40-bed capacity district hospital for the Achiase constituency. He said all districts without hospital will get their fair share of a district hospital.
111 hospitals, na yesi, ebisi da Ghana. Yes, I say, almost say, 419. Almost say it is not possible. Yes, it is possible. Yeah. And then, commissioning a Chiasi district hospital. District be a Benya hospital. That MVP said, age Sanet here. You be in Frimo. You completely 40 hospitals. You do a car, 41 hospitals. Chips compounds completed 428 chips compounds. Health centers 230 health centers. We're not including Agenda 111 ever.
Maxwell Kodeko reports for Joy News.
Business updates coming up next. In our first business story, stakeholders in the small and medium enterprises sector are calling for the formation of business groups and associations to champion the interest of women-led micro and small businesses in the African continental free trade area. According to them, SMEs stand a better chance of benefiting from the initiative through effective collaboration and partnerships. Tokuno Chedu is the chief executive of Compass Global Business Services, and she spoke to Joy Business at an AFSA capacity building workshop for women-led businesses.
How do we ensure that small players do not lose out? The way to do it is to start thinking about coming together to engage on deals. So that is, in other words, that we form clusters. We begin to pull ourselves together and say, we are the cotton makers, we are the shea butter producers, we are the farmers of this vegetable, we are the textile people, and we can meet your demand as a coalition of players in that space. So we also realize that, when talking about deals, it's sometimes not that easy for small players to get to the place of the business opportunity to concluding it as a deal. Why? Because there are many constraints that small businesses face. And sometimes it's about overcoming the constraints by being part of a collective, which is why we're also encouraging associations and platforms that aggregate businesses to start looking at forming clusters so that the SMEs will not be left out and they can also take part in this process.
In our second story, economist Dr. Patrick Asuming has described as prudent the decision by Cocoa Board to halt external fundraising program for cocoa purchase. Cocoa Board at news conference announced that it will not be turning to the international market for its loan syndication to buy beans for this year. Dr. Asuming noted that that decision couldn't have come at a better time.
Great idea. I think it's a great idea. I don't know why it has taken us this long to realize that this is what we should be doing. Because every time we go out there and take these syndicated loans, we end up paying a huge value of the cocoa that has been produced by hardworking farmers out to them. I think, you know, my only wonder is why we have been going through this for long and we didn't do this early. I'm sure there could be, you know, especially at the beginning, there could be some challenges, but I think whatever support that can be provided to Cocoa Board to make this work, we should let it happen, because this is I think it's the best thing I've heard from Cocoa Board.
And that ends we have the currency markets update for you as well. And that ends the news bulletin on the AM show. Coming up next is the news review segment. Honorable David Vondi, the MP for Chifo Atimokwa, and Dr. Ezekiel Obeng from the NPP's communication team will be joining us to review the various newspapers. Stay with us. Conversations begin right here on the AM show with me, Sweetie Aboshi. And this is a news review segment always brought to you by Endpoints Homeopathy Clinic. And if you haven't already done that, take advantage of the freebies they are offering. What are they offering? Free prostate screening and free female fertility screening at their various locations. And they're all over the country. In Accra, you can find them on the Springtex Road, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronuma Buenya, behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade, Anaji Estate. In Tema, Community 22. In Techiman, Hanswa, and in Esiama, in Zima. You can also call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoints Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. This morning, I have two gentlemen joining me for the news review segment. First on my list in the studio with me right now is Dr. Ezekiel Obeng, a member of the NPP communications team. It's good to see you again, Ezekiel. How have you been?
By God's grace, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah. So in the course of the conversation, our second guest will join us and I'll introduce him to you. But let's set the ball rolling. You have a minute or two to take us through what's top of your mind this morning.
It's our manifesto launch over the weekend. Good morning to our viewers, and good morning to our flag bearer, wherever he is. He's earmarked another 3 constituencies to tour today. You know, he didn't rest. Right after the launch, he moved back onto the grounds from Monday, and he's covering some grounds in the eastern region. So a very good morning to him and the team, and we hope that and pray that the good people of Ghana would listen to his message of hope and the bold solutions to give the MPP another term, and Dr. Bawumia's vision of bold solutions, the next chapter of the country, being actualized. So that's what we've been up to. We are still campaigning. We've launched our manifesto, and we are getting positive feedbacks from interested persons and stakeholders and other organizations, particularly our focus on businesses and the private sector. You know, if you read through the documents, one of the key things that stand out is the fact that Dr. Bawumia's administration would cede at least 3% of our GDP to the private sector, boost the private sector.
Bawumia is for businesses.
Exactly, for businesses. And it's been the stock and trade of the MPP. President Kufuor brought the golden age of doing business, and we are focusing once again on the business of the private persons and entities, at the same time looking at all avenues to creating jobs for our youth.
Aside the politics, right, as a regular Ghanaian citizen, a doctor, to be precise, when you go around in your daily interactions with your people, I don't know if you're practicing right now, what do you think, how do you think the people are faring? No politics this time. Like, what do you think is the genuine assessment of the people of Ghana as we speak, heading to the December polls?
Yeah, the genuine assessment of the Ghanaian is that we have seen what government has done, but sometimes it's the financial conditions that people say could have been better. And of course, if you look globally, what is pertaining, even in other advanced countries, you can clearly tell the toll the global agencies have had on every person globally. So yeah, that's the genuine assessment. And of course, the good thing is that every government, ministry, agency, institution, particularly my field, which is health, anything that government needs to do or whatever government prioritized, government still has hands on those things to make life quite easier for the Ghanaian.
You went right back to governance and politics. I mean, it is what it is. Let's get into the newspapers. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. We do some major stories, and then I'll come to you. On the front page, Gets Fund completes over 3,000 projects. Deterioration of petroleum revenue-funded projects worrying. On the drought issue we're experiencing, 1.18 billion Ghana cedis agri investment in danger. Cocoa Board breaks 32-year loan cycle and buys 2024-2025 season cocoa with own funds. Let's start there. So in a historic shift from the norm, the Ghana Cocoa Board has stated that it will not be raising the annual syndicated loan to finance the purchase of cocoa beans for the 2024 and 2025 crop season, which begins on September 1st. And this marks the first time in 32 years that the cocoa sector, or the sector manager and the regulator, will be self-financing its major operations, breaking away from its reliance on the syndicated loan from mainly foreign banks to finance the purchase of cocoa beans. And Mr. Eju was saying that this will save the country some $150 million. When we brought you that story this morning in our business segment, listen to Dr. Sumin saying that he doesn't even understand why it's taken us 32 years to get here, because this is what we need, you know. But however, the decision by Cocoa Board to forgo, and I'm still reading, forgo the offshore loan is expected to have implications for the Ghana's foreign exchange reserves and the stability of the country's currency, that is the cedi, because of the cedi depreciation concerns. Let me do two more stories and then we'll discuss. On the international front, Nigerians outraged over President's new plane. This is interesting. So many Nigerians have reacted with outrage after a new plane was bought for President Bola Tinubu at a time where the economy is experiencing its worst crisis in the generation. And the purchase comes less than 2 weeks after thousands took to the streets across the country to protest at rising hunger and the cost of living. That's 1st August protest that saw many, many, many young people out on the streets asking for better conditions of living. One last story, and then we start the conversation, Ezekiel. So on this drought that we're experiencing, and it's not just in Western Africa, I mean, it's the entire continent. 1.18 billion Ghana cedis are great investments in danger. And the country is at a risk of experiencing drought across the middle and northern belts. And this is the amount invested in farmers into agriculture in the middle and northern areas of the country. So far we've invested 1.18 billion Ghana cedis in agriculture in the middle and northern areas of the country. And the Ghana incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural learning is the one saying this. And the threat comes as Ghana Meteorological Agency predicts that areas within the transition zone of the country are likely to experience longer than usual dry spells this year, which may result in severe drought. We are already experiencing that. GMET has also recommended to farmers in areas that are likely to observe normal to above normal rainfall, late season start dates, and short to normal dry spells, especially those in the East Coast, to focus on short maturation crops. And the question I keep asking about this drought issue is, what are we doing with irrigation? GETS Fund completes over 3,000 projects, and the Ghana Education Trust Fund has completed 3,001 projects between 2017 and 2024. And out of the number, over 1,820, representing 61% of the projects, predated the state period, while remaining 1,174, representing 39%, are new initiatives. That is a statement issued in Accra by GETS Fund. And, quote, with the help of these funds under the projects, Emergency Secondary Intervention Project, Basic School Improvement Initiative, TVET Centers for Excellence, Model STEM Schools, Model KGs, among others, have been completed between 2017 and 2024. Interesting. Yeah. Let's start the conversation from Cocoa Board.
It's quite interesting and quite heartwarming. I'm hearing the Cocoa Board CEO make those pronouncements. Clearly, we can't do the same thing all the time and expect different results. So this is quite novel. Congratulations to Cocoa Board and congratulations to the country. This is not me sounding partisan, but of course, whenever there is any new lead that portends quite a very good opportunity or future for the country, then we all need to rally behind such idea to make sure that the Ghanaian and the good people of Ghana get the full benefit of it. Clearly, like we said, 32 years, what have we been doing? But of course, there's always a first time in everyone's life. So Cocoa Board has taken a very bold initiative to making sure that they self-finance their expenditure vis-a-vis the buying of cocoa crops for the ensuing year. So we believe that clearly the opportunities that would arise from this arrangement, I mean, even goes beyond the $150 million that's earmarked to be saved. It also tells that indeed the Ghanaian is capable of managing his own affairs.
Right.
We speak of certain effects on our forex, yes, but we should be rest assured that we have a lot of plans already laid in place to making sure that we don't get such shocks or backlashes with our currency. The government started there.
But I mean, I wonder where are we going to get the funds from?
I had read through, and I believe that they wouldn't make such huge pronouncements without making such arrangements. It would have been better if the communication came with the sources of funds, but they are looking within. It clearly shows that over the years, they've worked and they've made some profits, and they know where to comb for monies to make it a success. So we should ask questions, and at the same time, we should encourage Cocoa Board to making sure that this novel initiative is well executed to the benefit of the country. We spoke about the shortfall.
I asked because of, we are under an IMF regime, so yeah, there are certain restrictions on how much we can spend and even where we can take money from and all that. So it would be nice, it would be good, prudent for them to be more transparent on their plan on where to get the money if they are not going to external sources for, syndicated loan.
Clearly, governments have been very unanimous and meticulous with the IMF arrangements. I mean, bearing in mind the difficulties that the Ghanaian is going through. And if you look at the various two past reviews that we've had, we've not missed out on any opportunity to making sure that our books are balanced, we are in good state. It's the reason why after each quarter or each round of monies disbursed to the country, it takes the country a very short or limited time to get approval from the IMF for the next tranche of money to be reduced. So I believe that everything government plans doing vis-a-vis the economy, where to push money, where not to push money, everything is well tailored and well within the means of the IMF program we are running. I don't think government will go beyond the IMF program to do anything that would jeopardize the economy of the state. So let's be rest assured that, of course, in taking such a bold step, all these were considered to making sure that, yes, we are on track and the economy is recovering without any misstep that will bring a backlash to us as a people.
On the issue of droughts, the question is, if we were paying attention or if we were more intentional with agricultural sector, do you think the impact of climate change, and this drought is not any government doing, it's just climate change, right? But do you think if we were more intentional about our approach to the agricultural sector, we would be losing or stand the risk of losing about 1.18 billion Ghana cedis investment in the agricultural sector?
Our government has been very deliberate with agriculture. One of the flagship programs the government keeps touting itself to be part of the achievements of this government is the planting for food and jobs. We've gone through the first phase. We've learned some of the problems and the difficulties that we encountered during the first phase to launch.
But specifically about this,
I'll come there.
It's because farmers are still depending on rainfall.
To launch the phase 2 of the project. And part of the phase 2 is mechanized irrigation, technology, and the use of digitalization to monitor our farms. So indeed, government saw the problems that we encountered the first phase vis-a-vis mechanization and agricultural input in terms of monies or stipend to help the farmer. Because indeed, at the end of the day, from the phase 1, we're mostly doing agricultural inputs without thinking of how the farmer is going to finance his or her agricultural produce. But of course, as parts of the lessons from the phase 1, those are parts of the things that we learned. There's been some few irrigation points that the country has earmarked. If you go around Eastern region, Volta region, up to OT region and the north. There, if you go to the Ministry of Agri's website, there are copious readings that you can find on how we want to mitigate the effect of climate change on agriculture, vis-a-vis making sure that our irrigation farms are well or up and doing.
I actually thought that was what one district, one dam was supposed to solve. So what's the latest on that?
Okay, so yes, with the one district, one dam, obviously...
Because if we had those dams, we wouldn't be depending on rainfall.
It is not a dam that's going to generate electricity. In the local dialect, there are the ponds...
No, but we're not talking about electricity.
Yes, there are the ponds that the people in the northern part of the country use to, irrigate their farm during the lean season, and of course use the rest to feed their herds and build their mud houses. So yes, government is well on course. The last time I was there, at least 2020, I was in the Upper East region, and I toured a few areas from Sandema to Kanjaga to Fubisi, Pusiga, up to Zebila and Boko, and I saw quite a number of them. And really, they are up there, and the people who were thought of for such projects are actually reaping the benefit. But the effect of climate
change... let me interject briefly. Recently, we did a report on safe water and how people in the northern belt are struggling with water. They have to trek for long hours, long kilometers of walking just to go and fetch water from somewhere. And it's disheartening, it's sad to see what's, the quality of the water that they're drinking. And you say that you've been to these places, the Bila and the rest, and you've seen these dams?
I've seen a couple of them from the places that I visited in the Upper East region. I saw a couple of them. But of course, in the area of safe drinking water, the pond cannot be, in quotes, a safe drinking water like the pipe-borne water that flows through a pipe. On the issue of pipe-borne water, we can have a day to discuss what Ghana and Water Company has been doing over the years. I know they've made giant strides in making sure that we have enough potable water. At least they've added about 4.5 million gallons of water to our stock as a country. But of course, there's always room for improvement, and especially in certain places that traditionally do not have access to potable water. I believe there's always room for improvement, and we can always do more for the people. But on the issue of agriculture and the impacts of these small dams or ponds on their farming, I have been a witness to them. I won't come and sit in the studio. I only chose Upper East region you've
seen. And you do communicate for the party. Exactly. So tell me, how many dams, as we speak, have been completed and operational? How many dams?
It's on top of my head, it's quite difficult. I have to go back to my notes. I don't want to churn out any figure to your.
No, if you have it, just tell us. You can refer and tell us.
I can later refer and get you the figures for you to put out. But of course, we would not come and tell the people this is what we've done when we've not done it. Because clearly, you can always go and fact check out. Joy FM, I remember prior to 2020 elections, when Dr. Baumia mounted the platform and shared what we had done as a country. Within a matter of days, Joy FM and Asempa FM could see the same program. You had your journalists all over the country fact checking what we had done. So yes, we know what we need to churn out, and we will not come and say things we've not done just for us to look good in the eye of the public. But we should be rest assured that irrespective of how much success we've chalked, there's always room for improvement until the last Ghanaian has potable water to drink, which runs through his or her pipe unabated every day, every second. The job is not done. Even if you've achieved 80%, 70%, 90%, and the last person hasn't had the opportunity to benefit from these essential amenities, there's always a lot that we can do. So, of course, the effect of climate change is all there for us to see. It bestows on us as a people, as a community, for us to change our ways, our way of even farming, our way of even how much pollutant we throw into the environment, burning, and what have you, the trees we are cutting to build and all that. So environmental factors and a lot that we can do to save our environment. Because indeed, no matter how much you plant, no matter how much you plant with mechanized irrigation, if climate is to take a toll on you, you can have all the beautiful points.
Great. Let's move on. What's your impression of the outrage of the people of Nigeria on the back of their president buying a new plane, just after we've seen that much publicized demonstration? What's your impression?
It goes beyond the plane. It speaks to the economic situation in Nigeria. After President Tinubu took over, he reduced subsidies on fuel, and we saw the fuel shortages that Nigerians experienced. Cars parked, massed up at filling stations without getting fuel. There was a BBC report that...
I have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to take a short break. We'll be back and the conversations will continue. Please, don't go away. Thank you for your patience and for sticking with us. Let me introduce our second guest, the Member of Parliament for Trefo Atimokwa, Honorable David Vondi. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, my dear.
Okay. We have to take a quick break in the middle of the conversation to make room for you to join us.
Great.
So let me let you end your trail of thought, and then I'll come to you for your take on what we're discussing.
So like I was saying, it speaks to the economic situation in Nigeria. Honorable Tinubu, His Excellency, took over, and he had to withdraw subsidies on fuel, saying that the country is not in the position to subsidize fuel. We've seen how the economic tweak he made, the stable exchange rates they had is now a floating exchange rate, for example, and we've seen the effect of that on their currency. So the effect goes beyond just buying the aircraft for himself. Indeed, if things were rosy and things were good, especially for a country that has also had effect of COVID and ramifications on them, and what we saw with Nigeria, their power situation, their energy situation, and all that.
I get everything you're saying. The point I'm trying to draw out is, what is your impression of the action of a president buying a new plane in the middle of these economic woes that the people of Nigeria are facing? Yeah, what's your impression of that particular act?
I don't know the internal security arrangements and what intelligence Nigerians have picked vis-a-vis their number one gentleman of the state. That, for example, for all you know, he doesn't have a good standing, let's say, aircraft to himself. And we need to be cautious of the security of the first gentleman of the state. We can understand that things are not good, so yes, he should be more empathetic. Look at how your people are feeling, the economic situation, for you to adjust equally. But at the end of the day, I'll be quite indigenous to sit here and say that it's either a good plan or a bad plan. I need to know the security assessment that was made that probably drew the attention of the authorities to make sure that they get a befitting aircraft for the state. But of course, upon hindsight, you might feel that Nigerians are going through it. So of course, it bestows on the president to be a bit more, measured in what he asks for or what he does. But we need to also juxtapose that with a few technical and security issues that the internal security arrangement could have picked. That probably might have paved way for such arrangements.
Okay, Mr. Von D, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So we're just discussing how the president of Nigeria bought a new plane amidst the economic woes that the people are facing, and that much publicized demonstration for better conditions of living and all that. We also talked about the cocoa board breaking away from that 32-year loan cycle. This time around, they want to buy cocoa beans from their own funds. So they're moving away from the syndicated loans to do that. However, there may be some implications on Forex, because, you know, they're moving away from loans coming from external sources. Then it has some implications. And then the question was, how are they going to fund that? Because we are still under an IMF regime. What are your thoughts? But first, you can tell me what's top of your mind, and then we get into the conversations.
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to those of you who are watching us this morning, and my apology for coming late. It's been a little hectic here and there, you know, but it's fine. I mean, Nigeria, you know, I'm sure should be a country that is leading Africa in terms of economic activities, and unfortunately, we're not seeing that. Africa as a whole, our leaders are not demonstrating modesty and are not showing the way. Because if you see what's happening in, Nigeria, where the youth are demonstrating against cost of living and very horrible situations comes to jobs, lifestyle in general. And what you can do is to go buy a plane. You're not demonstrating modesty, and you're not demonstrating leadership that the people should trust you for. For me, I thought that it was a decision that should not be taken by now, as of now, and it would have waited and solved the issues, get those demonstrating the entire country a little more calmed, and if you want to do something like that, he could go ahead and do it. But for now, it's not a good decision, in my opinion. It's just not a good decision. Yes, I agree with you that...
Do you think this action reflects on, other African countries?
Yes, of course.
Putting Ghana in context?
Yes, of course. When you see a president in Ghana who is actually hiring a private jet, when our economy is actually deteriorating and our dollar is chasing those who put the dollar in jail, and Ghanaians youth are not getting a job to do, and the cost of living is actually aggravating, and things are getting horrible in this country. You see a president who go around hiring private jets. That's not modesty. That's not showing leadership. So it's an African problem. I don't know why we want to look huge, big, when we are not big. I mean, the person, a president, your citizenry don't have water to drink, potable water. Schools are not built. Look at what's happening to even the whole famous free SHS, the kind of food that the kids are eating. And what the president can do is to live a very luxury life, a life that is just not justifiable. You're not having,
No, well, but I mean, you cannot say for sure that it's our money, can you?
And of course, it's our money. I mean, where is the president getting money from? He's not engaged in any private business. He's only engaged in superintending over the activities of the country, and that's it. And we pay him. He said he was going to protect the public purse. I don't know whether you understand that. If a public purse that $1 was selling at 3.9, Ghana cedis, and that you said the one managing the affairs of the country at the time is incompetent, okay? And then you said you were going to protect the public purse. You were shouting all over the place that there was, a corruption. One of the corruption cases they cited was the airbag scandal. You remember that? And today, the very special prosecutor you appointed, said His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is as clean as snow. And I have known that all this while. And the same, another, person you appointed says you are a mother serpent of corruption, okay? And so, and at the end of the day, you're running this country to where you're running it to, and the profligacy is not stopping. That is the style of African leaders. And I don't think it is something that's going to help the African people.
Now, you just said categorically that is the style of African leaders. You are a leader yourself. You're a member of parliament.
No, I'm a member of parliament.
Can you really exclude yourself from that category?
No, I mean, that is, you see, if you want to show leadership, you must be selfless. You must make sure that your people benefit from you. And I'll give you a typical example. I was elected a member of parliament for the good people of Chifoetimakwa. This is about 3.5 years ago. And as I speak to you now, I've been able to train youth in many, various entrepreneurship, businesses like seamstress, hairdressing, driving, and more than 3,000 people, okay? Giving back to the people, making sure the little you get, you give it back to the people, and making sure the people believe in you, you serve the people. President Akufo-Addo said something, and I thought that he was going to walk the talk. He said that if you want to make money, go to the private sector, don't come to his government. Unfortunately, he'd rather turn his government into a money-making place.
Yeah,
let's
make progress.
So
let's do some other stories.
Where our leaders will not, serve the people, but will lord over the people.
We do have to
It's a problem.
Yes, so it's an African problem. Points well made. Community center, I'm doing some other stories here in the daily graphic, and then we move on. So community center accommodation for Nkonya teachers and nurses has been inaugurated. A community center and a general quarters accommodation for teachers and nurses have been inaugurated at Nkonya and Abena communities in the Wasa-Memfi East Municipality of the Western Region. The facilities were provided under the auspices of Edikan Mine, a subsidiary of Perseus Mining Ghana Limited. And the Nkonya community is the beneficiary of the community center, while Abena has the general quarters for health workers and teachers. Let me quickly run through this paper, and then we can end it and then get to you. GJ opens book of condolence for Godwin Avenogbo, Winneba Youth Choir in Malta, Ghana for Ghana Missions Anniversary. Congratulations to them. I hope they make us proud, because that's my alma mater. Ensure transparency, accountability in petroleum revenue use. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee has urged journalists to use their editorial platforms to promote transparency and accountability in the management and use of petroleum revenues. The chair of PIAC, Emerita Professor Elizabeth Shandoff, was speaking at a media engagement on the management and use of petroleum revenues in the country at Prampram in the Nigu-Prampram district of the Greater Accra region on Tuesday, and it formed part of an outreach program and community engagement by PIAC in the area. Two last stories. The Ghana Institution of Engineering has engaged political parties to outline and advocate for strategic interventions in key sectors affecting the socio-economic development of Ghana. And the president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, Kwabena Bempong, explained that the engagement was critical to the development of Ghana by helping shape the manifestos of the various parties as they begin their campaigns. We've seen the NPP's manifesto, and the NDC is set to launch theirs this weekend on Saturday, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
The need for tolerance in Ghana's Fourth Republic. Firms honored at Business Finance Stu Lands hold mid-year conference. On the back page, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission to transform or rolls out new technology to transform agriculture. We need that. We cannot keep depending on rainfall for agriculture needs. And First Bank Max Week presents 265,000 Ghana cedis to 4 organizations. Quick reflections on these headlines, and then I'll come to your newspapers. I'll start with you, Ezekiel.
The one that has to do with the community center and the accommodation for teachers is what, to me, is striking enough. I mean, aside the accountability that we need to ensure with our petroleum process, that, I mean, people like you are encouraged to use the editorial to, help state institutions to make sure that we are accountable to the people. So yes, there's a lot we still need to do to help our teachers, to help our doctors and the health workers that are posted across the country to get accommodation. And it bestows on government to keep doing what government is doing, state-owned enterprises and private organizations, their community assessments and giving back to society. So yes, it's quite a laudable idea, and we need to help encourage all stakeholders to, be part of such a good venture. And we've launched our manifesto. I think you made a bit statement on our manifesto, and it's out there. The bold solutions, the pollution that Dr. Bawumia has proffered to help businesses, to help stakeholders, to help the Ghanaian youth to create jobs. And like we started with, what strikes me most is the fact that Dr. Bawumia seeks to situate the private sector as the fulcrum of his government, offering good leadership and good governance and exemplary leadership as such, to making sure that all other sectors come as a synergy together, making sure that we move forward. And I entreat every Ghanaian, just as the Guta has come out to state that indeed those policies are what the businesses need. We need to create more jobs, and by creating more jobs, we need to look at the private sector, empower them, expand them, so that they can recruit more people into their fold, as together with all government to do mainstream.
Right.
So yes, we are waiting what the NDC brings on Saturday, but of course, we're already taking the lead, and Ghanaians have seen through the crystal clear picture we've created moving forward for our country.
Have the NPP actually created a crystal clear plan or vision?
The picture is clear.
I guess the question really is how Ghanaians will be absorbing this vision, right? So the onus is on us as citizens. But I saw you, making some, you were sighing and doing, You disagree with what he's saying?
I mean, we've all seen Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. The vice president made all kinds of promises, and we've seen his performance for the last, past 8 years. And so, I mean, everybody know who he is. I mean, if you go Google who is the liar in Ghana politics, you see Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So whatever he says, I mean, Ghanaians are not taking it serious. This is a man who says, when I come, I'm going to, take talk tax away. I mean, e-levy. But he implemented the e-levy. I mean, he's also still in government. He's the leader of the MPP now. He's chairman of the economic management team, He is the vice president of the Republic of Ghana. If you have anything to do, he should do it now. He says, when I come, I'm going to take the bet tax away, but he introduced it. Okay, this is a man who is all over the place promising job.
I just wanted to correct that statement
the point is
that who is a liar in Ghana, whatever will come up is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, it depends on where you're going.
And he's still the vice president.
Well,
so we have
of course,
to be circumspect.
Yes, I'm not taking that from him. Okay. He's the vice president, and whatever he says never works. He's the man who says he actually arrested the dollar, put the dollar in jail, and the dollar was not going to rise again. Remember when the dollar was 3.9? Ghana cedis to the dollar. And then Dr. Bawumia was the one who introduced the word incompetent. He called his political opponent all kind of names. He comes to office and do nothing. This is a man who ran our economy to total, garbage.
If you've been listening to the NPP communication, they're saying that, yes, we are not where we want to be. But there are also some external factors that they had no control over that brought us to where we are now. Ezekiel, is that not correct? So we talk about the Russian-Ukraine war. You can respond to that. So I'm just saying, these are all facts that, from what they are saying, that you should include in your submission.
It's interesting that all these economic, external factors like the COVID-19, Ukraine-Russia war. I'm sure when the Queen died, they actually attributed the Ghanaians' economic woes to the Queen's death as well. And these factors escaped, jumped over all the countries around, and then landed in Ghana alone. Go to Cote d'Ivoire and ask how much you borrow money in Cote d'Ivoire. You pay not more than 14%. Okay, go to Ghana Bank and borrow money. And you see, you are paying almost, so the point we're making is that you cannot be saying.
How much are you paying? As at July, it was 20.
You cannot be saying, hold on.
No, you can answer the question. How much were we paying under John
I don't think that.
It was 30.7.
No, wrong.
30.7.
Hold on, please, please. I don't think that you want to compare John Dramani Mahama's economic situation in 2016
we can
to what we're facing today.
We can actually compare.
Every honest Ghanaian would not want to do that. The point I'm making to you is that today, if you're a businessman and you go to whatever to import goods Abosu kind people and all that, and you needed $100,000 at the time of John Dramani Mahama. You needed only 3.9 and 390,000 Ghana cedis.
From where?
Today you need 1.6 million to get $100,000. And this is a man who was shouting all over the place that he is the solution to Ghanaians' economic problems. And you come and you perform like this, and you want us to believe you that you've launched a manifesto?
Hold for me,
that's not correct.
My first comment has to do with my little disappointment in the Honorable MP this morning. Certain pronouncements are not expected of an MP. I mean, we can allow party foot soldiers, in quotes, with all due respect, to sit on platforms to call our leaders, name call them and call them certain unpalatable, words. I can't sit here, with all due respect, and use certain pronouncements on Mr. Dramani Mahama. At least he can be a father, and he's been a former president of the state. I do not agree with the style of leadership. I do not agree that he performed any better during his presidency. But I won't sit on a platform, join news, and call Mr. Mahama names. And we have an honorable MP.
Nobody's calling anybody names. Nobody is calling anybody names.
The sitting vice president
lied about his performance, and that is the cause.
Should the honorable MP step out today? I'll come to the issues.
He actually cited circumstances that feed into his description of what a lie is. So let's stick to the issue, not assessment of the character.
Should the honorable MP step out today and the child on the street is using certain names for MPs? Would he have the moral courage to correct that child?
Of course, if the MPs
and I believe you are
done what they're calling the MPs.
Coming back to the issues, you made mention of lending rate, and you are saying lending rate today is hovering around 20. And that means the economy is
27
bad.
or so, yeah.
And that you was 30.7.
Right.
So how do you say 27 today in a COVID-stricken economy is bad? And when there was no COVID.
Did you say a COVID-stricken economy
I am
to describe this one,
of
this
course,
current
yes.
economy?
We are still recovering from COVID.
That
is that why we are
global economic situation.
Mr. Bondi, please allow me to.
Global
is that why we are still
situation,
paying COVID-19 taxes?
If you want to know the situation, compare the world economic growth 10 years before COVID, doing an average of 3.1%. Today, that the economy in the world has sort of stabilized, recovering from COVID. The best we are doing is 2.6, 2.7 globally. It tells you the picture we have economically, globally. So if indeed in this economy that you claim is bad, everything is on a downward hill, everything has spots, we are lending around 20, and you are saying that what you did better, the future and the heaven you gave Ghanaians were borrowing at 30.7, then clearly you all know who a better manager of the
land
economy,
on that point. Thank you.
The
so take me through your newspaper. We do have a few minutes to go.
As to what Dr. Bawumia has said and what hasn't said, Dr. Bawumia is on record, the best vice president we ever had. We challenged the NDC to come and tell us just one thing. Their candidate, Mr. Mahama,
Ezekiel, we are working with time. Let's get into
a vice president. And of course, if indeed you can't beat,
I would have to move on from if you don't get into the paper.
Go on the path of what Odnabu is going today. On my paper, what I have today.
That's the Chronicle.
The Chronicle, the banner headline on the front page. It says Bono grabs 99 drip machines. And of course, we've all seen the president launch the district road improvement program that seeks to make sure that in our districts, the places that government is yet to touch, to be the first class or even second class roads, government is making sure that they have a set of construction machines to make sure that every district.
What's the banner story there?
So indeed, Bono has grabbed, yes, I saw a story of Volta region. They've also grabbed their drip machines, and I believe the story is uniform across board. And everyone in your district should expect what government has for you with your road servicing.
I see GBC something.
So
please.
GBC boss fires and the minister responds.
Right.
We saw what made the news on social media in particular concerning the All-African Games and how much monies were paid as to whether the amount was indeed received by Ghana Broadcasting.
The discrepancy between $3 million and $105,000 million.
We've seen contracts. We've seen contract documents. Yesterday we saw some payment documents. We've seen what the Honorable Minister, his press release that came. And of course, if you sit back, you can clearly tell that indeed there was some miscommunication somewhere from certain quarters. And GBC, I believe, have come to clarify the issues, even those who took to social media to start lambasting the government, accusing the government of certain shoddy or some obscure dealings have all retracted.
Do you think that is all that it is, miscommunication?
I believe it's a matter of miscommunication. And it's purely a matter of miscommunication. Otherwise, you don't have those documents, unless we have been told that those documents were printed the very minute those stories broke. We've seen the corrections and the clarifications on the issue.
For the sake of time,
we should put things to rest. But of course, if you still have to ask questions, we've passed the Right Information Bill. You can lead your news outlets or your media outlets to ask for better particulars.
Mr. Bondi, you get a chance to respond, but first take me through your paper. You have the New Republic, just the stories on the front page.
Yeah, Peace Act pause, as NDC gives 6 conditions.
Yes.
Yes, I think that this is just the best way to go and nobody to fault us. We saw the elections in 2020 where 8 people were killed for doing just nothing, absolutely nothing. They were killed by operators of this government.
Oh,
and
are they operators of this government?
Of course, I mean, he's, who is the leader of this country? Who is the leader of this country? Okay. I understand they were shot by security people, supposed security people, and nobody mentioned it one day. His Excellency, Akufo-Addo, never mentioned a word. He had the opportunity to address the nation so many times. He never said, a condolence to those that lost their loved ones and so forth and so on. Ever. This is the kind of government we're going to have an election with. And we are saying that we will sign the peace, document, whatever it is, but we expect Ghanaians to know that Akufo-Addo and his people must also be ready to walk the path of peace. And so we expect them. So we expect them to also sign.
Minister for Sports.
That was, I mean, one of the most horrible, absolutely horrible, corruption scandal that I have seen is the GBC thing. You are telling me to believe that when you hand over a contract to GBC to cover the African Games, then you that hand over the contract to GBC, you'll go around looking for other technical teams to appoint for the one you appointed, you're giving a contract to. If I've given a contract to you, I expect you to execute the contract by getting subcontractors, the expertise that you do not have to help you, but not the ministry that gave the contract, go around looking for expertise and paying them. And some of the payments they did are so horrible. Better viewing skills, $20,000. And I was scandalized, okay? This is just an afterthought. The gentleman was used to make money for the MPP as usual. He decided to come up and clear his name and said, I got only $105,000. I never got $3.9 million, $3.5 million. Okay, so he was called upon to do something about it. So he must bring some memo, internal memo, requesting payment for people and subcontractors, which of course is not the job of the ministry to do, just to clear his name. It's just an afterthought. Okay. That was a very huge scandal. And I can promise them we'll look into it. We'll look into it. No two ways about that.
Let's stick to the facts, okay?
The fact is that
this man says that he has received only $105,000. And we've seen that document that had Silicon Productions and all that. And it was actually $105,000 that was allocated to just GBC. I can pull up that document. So the other things that you're saying, let's just stick to the facts and not misinform anyone. And I'm sure that this is progressing. We'll follow the story and bring you updates.
GBC received $105,000 United States dollars. Unfortunately, the attempt to put on him, GBC, that they received $3.5 million, the gentleman did not agree. And all these, call back and go afterthought and get document to just, when the guy was making
when you say afterthought to get documents, you don't have evidence to back that claim.
No, look at their internal memo. I don't have it here, but look at their internal memo that they brought after all this.
So what I'm saying is that
it will tell you
that's the memo they put out. So you do not have evidence to show that it was an afterthought. It was generated, after the controversy came out. That's what I'm saying.
When the GBC boss was making a statement that they paid him only $105,000. Was he not having the memo in front of him? Was the memo not available? Okay. The memo was available. So why did he
make this your conclusion?
Why didn't he speak to the memo? Why didn't he mention that, okay, GBC were given a contract of $3.5 million, and these are the people, Silicon, blah, 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 and the people that we subcontracted and paid them? Why didn't he say so?
Thank you. Our time is up.
But why would he go back saying all these things after this thing broke out? So the point is that it's just an afterthought.
I'll give you the final word.
It's just an afterthought.
Clearly, we expected nothing but what Honorable had demonstrated.
No, I mean, that is the truth. You guys, your scandals
Mr. Bondi, we have to go. Let him
it's
give
all about
us a wrap-up.
insinuations without speaking to facts. And I'm glad you pushed Honorable to produce facts contrary to the facts available. And he couldn't do that.
But I can assure Ghanaians that this matter is a very serious
is going to look
matter.
into everything.
We'll
after their honeymoon, should they win power after their honeymoon, I believe all that they will do with the rest of the time to look into things. But to end on the peace pacts, Honorable is blaming claims and blaming President Akufo-Addo for people who died. May their souls rest in peace. We empathize with every family that lost any individual or that's even had any hitch with any individual in their family during elections. But if you are laying blame at the front, the doorstep of the president, you are only telling us that during your 8 years, all the Tripoli by-elections and the people that died during your time are people you killed yourself, if indeed.
You just heard Dr. Ezekiel. Gentlemen, we are time is up. So my guests were David Vondi, the Member of Parliament for Trifo Etimokwa, as well as Dr. Ezekiel Obeng, and he's a member of the NPP communication team. This segment is all. Can you please mute them? This segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Take advantage of the freebies. They are offering free prostate screening, free fertility screening at their various locations. Sports is coming up next. You want to stay for that.
Good morning, and it's time for sports on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. We start with a big story where Parliament's Committee on Sports is set to launch an investigation into the exact amount spent on hosting the 2023 African Games. The Sports Ministry had submitted a document to the committee revealing that $50 million was spent on food for athletes during the continental event. Ranking member on the committee, Kobina Woyomi, spoke to Joy Sports.
Close to 240 plus or 245 million United States dollars, right? And out of this, we got to even know, for instance, key among them was a whopping amount of $15 million, you know, which amounts or works to close to or a bit over 226 million Ghana cedis, being how much was used to feed athletes for 18 days. For the event. So you realize that some of these things needed to be investigated. We wanted to know how many, you know, athletes actually made it, how many actually got registered. In fact, we need to get a report generated by, for instance, the games management system, because the system must be able to tell us how many actually, you know, registered and actually came to participate in the event. All these details we would want to know. Even the games management system itself, it's the cost of putting that together, and as to whether the standard we all know of anytime we go to some of these events, either at the continental level, Commonwealth level, or at the Olympic level, you really notice that if you are even a journalist, you know, that is going to cover the event, the process you go through, even the accreditation process, and then your tag that is given, the quality tag that is given. And we didn't see any of this. But do you know how much we spent? As we were told, it's $4.5 million for that. And so what actually went into it? And so I've even written officially to Atos, you know, so that I need an answer.
An interesting development there. But on the pitch, though, Ghana's athletes, they delivered very well at the games, winning 69 medals, 41 of which came from arm wrestling. Now, the sports success has continued to grow, as highlighted by policewoman Grace Minta at the 2024 World Championship in Moldova. Grace clinched a gold medal in the women's category, defeating her opponent from Germany, Turkey, and others in a match that went into overtime. President of the Ghana Arm Wrestling Federation, Charles Osei-Sibe, believes Grace deserves a hero's welcome when she returns to the country on Sunday.
Well, it's a journey we started in 2016, and for me, Grace has made us proud. As I sit here, I'm trying to research to see whether any Ghanaian has won a gold medal in the World Championship event. For us, we are happy. We won 41 medals during the African Games, and Ghanaians, many thought it was a fluke, but I feel that basking 41 medals for Ghana in the Africa Games should have brought some attention to the sport of arm wrestling. I am happy, and I feel that Ghanaians should pay attention to the sport we manage. Grace is a hero, and all the female advocates, the country should welcome Grace as she comes home. Like I said, as a journalist and a sports administrator, I cannot recollect if any Ghanaian has won a world championship gold in the last 40 or 50 years. And this is what Grace has done. And I think that is a great achievement Ghana must celebrate and adequately reward Grace.
Well, let's use the opportunity to talk about what lies ahead for the Federation before the end of the year.
Well, we have an event in Hungary. Beyond that, we just have to break for the year because the year has been a tough one. Preparing for the African Games was tough. Beyond the Africa Games, we're also preparing for the World Championship. Grace, the police officer, has won a gold medal for Ghana. So what we intend doing is to climax the year with what we call the showdown. Arm wrestling showdown in Ghana, and that will happen in November. After that, we'll break for the year and then begin to prepare. But Razak, I want to use your platform to appeal to Ghana. Arm wrestling has shown that it is the sport of choice. Corporate Ghana, government, and everybody must pay attention to the sport, because come 2027 Africa Games, by the grace of God, if we play, arm wrestling will still be able to win more medals for Ghana. If indeed we want to get there, the preparation and the support must start today. I have said that all that we need is a training center. If we're able to get that training, I am not asking for money for myself or for my athletes. We want to expand. We want to encourage participation. All we need is a training center.
To football, and Nsatreman are set to leave the country today, having completed their preparations for the clash against Elect Sports of Chad for the second leg of the CAF Confederation Cup. With a commanding 3-0 lead from the first leg, the Ghanaian side need to ensure they avoid a similar scoreline to advance to the next round of the competition. There's more in this report. Despite a comfortable victory in Accra, Nsatreman know that nothing is guaranteed until the final whistle in Chad. The upcoming second leg on Saturday is crucial, and this final training session is the team's chance to fine-tune their performance and address any remaining issues. 26 players participated in the session, which largely focused on tactics.
Yeah, it let me feel better, so I think our matches is not easy for us, but our coach tell us that we should keep pushing hard and work hard. If we keep pushing hard, we will make it. So we are trying our best to push forward.
What's your personal goal in the second leg? In the first leg, you scored 2.
It's not easy. It's not easy for us to the tournament, but we are keep pushing ourselves to make some good correction to go forward. So I think if we make it better, we can go forward.
So making it better means you more or less want to score 3?
Yeah, if I get the chance, I'll score. I'll make it.
Maybe it's concentration. Football is about concentration, and for we starting this confederation, it's an international game, and we talk to each other, and the new coach also gave us some instruction. So I think we follow the coach instruction, and that's made us keep the clean sheet. Yeah.
So personally, how would you ensure that you keep a clean sheet again in the second leg? Because I understand the team, they are playing with 2 strikers.
I think we are going there with a different strategy. We are not going to play the same like the way we play at home. We are going there with different style to defend or to even score more goals over there. We are confident that maybe the second leg, I'm sure that we are going to win over there too.
The technical team who oversaw the training expressed full confidence in their preparations.
It was good. The boys were very enthused. They gave their 100%, and we are willing to go for another win.
Which makes you confident ahead of the second leg, right?
Yes.
Okay. Coach, what does it mean? What does the second leg mean for you personally?
To jump the final hurdle. So after winning 3-0 here, it's very important. We still have to keep the focus and make sure that we go in there and get it done, because it's still not done yet. 3-0 though, but football is full of surprises. So we have to be on our toes and make sure that we are 100% focused in the second leg.
Nsotreman's victory in the first leg is certainly something to be happy about, considering the fact that they are making their debut. But in this competition where dramatic comebacks are common, they can't afford to relax. They have to, at the very least, replicate their performance from this first leg or risk losing everything they've worked for. Haruna Mubarak from the Legon Basic School Park for Joy Sports. And that's it for sports on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Thanks for watching.
She's a 21-year-old student of the University of Ghana. Today, she's busy repairing her bicycle. This bicycle is more than just a mode of transportation. It symbolizes her independence and her commitment to helping others living with disability.
My name is Felicity Ajuri-Wedalba. I'm a person living with disability called achondroplasia. I'm unique and special in all my ways and aspects.
Felicity moves her hands with dexterity as she applies a cold patch to her bicycle tire, a skill she learned in order to save money and avoid the hassle of repair shops.
And my mom and dad always advised me to learn how to use those things to repair my bike instead of sending it to the market for repairing.
A bicycle is a lifeline, not just for herself, but for her friend Esther Badu, who is visually impaired.
For my condition there, I thought it was the most tedious one. But when I came to the University of Ghana, I could see that mine was a little bit tough because some of them couldn't see. I thank God for my life, and then I was like, God, I didn't know that my problem was not as much as compared to others. I think I could help them because I can see.
Felicity and Esther's friendship began one Monday morning during the lecture. It was not until the lecture that Felicity discovered Esther's visual impairment.
When I came, I was always in my room. I was like, so how am I going to mingle with people? You know, stigmatization and stuff. Sometimes I would like to speak with someone, but they think being a visually impaired is contagious. So they will not like to come close to you. So when I met Felicity, I was like, wow. I have met, although she's also a person with a disability, but she's helping me a lot.
The way she was looking at me, I thought she could see. I didn't know she was visually impaired. So she asked me for a guideline back to the lecture hall. So I told her that how can this be? Because I know that you can actually see. Why are you pretending not to see? So she was like, she's a visually impaired, she can't see. So I decided to help her.
And so began a friendship. Every day, Felicity and Esther navigate the sprawling campus together. As Felicity rides, Esther holds her shoulder, guiding her friend to their lecture halls.
Every time I have to help her out by sending her to the lecture halls and all that. It has been a very difficult task for us, but I still insist of helping her by riding her to the lecture halls. Even though our lecture halls is at the top floor.
The photography of the land is not favorable to us. There are gutters, holes, steps and stuff. And she's using her bike. So when we get to gutter, we have to, because she has to get down and help her. I'll help her with the bike, carry it to cross the gutter before we continue. When there are steps, she has to get that. It's stressful.
Their bond extends beyond the classroom. They study, cook, and share laughter during their leisure time. Felicity's heart is filled with compassion, not just for Esther, but for others living with disabilities. She finds joy in assisting her friends, despite the challenges they face.
Other people could see their problem to be contagious. They think that maybe coming in contact with them, they will actually be infected and other stuff. So I decided to be friends with her in order to give her a helping hand.
Their friendship is reciprocal. Esther helps Felicity with tasks like washing dishes and provides academic support, explaining difficult concepts during their study sessions.
Some of the animals also have reversed legs, lagoon.
Anywhere she's going, she wants me to go with her, and so do I. Like, we can't go and leave one another. Maybe she'll leave me in the room. When she's going to buy something, she'll be like, Esther, please. And I say, Felicity, how can I visually bed be? I said, she said, no, I don't care. Let's move together. We move together. So anyway, so I really like, there is this friction between the two of us. Yeah.
Esther too cherishes their friendship, finding strength and comfort in their daily interactions.
It has been fantastic. We sometimes quarrel. Sometimes when it's time for lectures, I'll be tired. We'll not sleep early because we'll study the whole night. Maybe we'll sleep at 2 and stuff. So we had to wake up for the next lecture. She'll come and wake me up. I'll be like, Felicity, why did you come to wake me up? You have to leave me. Then we'll quarrel because of this thing. Then not serious fight stuff. We just fight and yeah. And she's not a kind of person, even if you say something, she'll be angry. She'll just, sometimes I do say something, I'll be like, Felicity, why are you not mad at me? She said, no. Then I'll just apologize. Then we move on. Yeah, so I really love our friendship.
Their shared moments of joy and mutual support paint a beautiful picture of what friendship truly means. Felicity dreams of becoming a journalist, using her voice to advocate for others with disabilities.
I want to be a journalist because I've not seen people giving news like me. And for that matter, I would like to use the power of the microphone to advocate for persons living with disabilities.
We want the whole world to know of our friendship, a visually impaired and a person living with a quadriplegia, being besties.
Despite the challenges, Felicity and Esther are determined to succeed in their academic pursuit and hope their friendship will inspire others, as well as highlight the need for better support for students with disabilities. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News.
My God will always lead me
to Pentecost.
Really?
Friendship indeed knows no barrier, not even disability. And at the University of Ghana, Felicity Deva and Ajure and Esther Bwedu are proving just that. Despite the former's short stature and the latter's visual impairment, their bond is unbreakable. And together, they navigate life with resilience and joy. And their inspiring story is a demonstration to the power of friendship and determination, showing all of us that disability is not a limitation, but a unique strength. And Emmanuel Jivenu of our education desk was the one that brought us that latest episode of our series, This Abled. Thank you for watching. And there's still more coming your way on the AM show. Don't go away.
Thank you very much for joining me one more time on AM Exclusive. And today we find ourselves in the residence of the man who helms or represents the biggest economy in Europe, right here in Ghana. We're going to have a conversation with him on everything from the economy to Europe's engagement on Russia, Ukraine, the Ghanaian election, and manifold matters. But joining me today on AM Exclusive, Daniel Krill, and I'm pleased to give him to you as we have this conversation. Hello.
Hi, Benjamin. Welcome, Akwaba, to the German residence, to you and your team and your viewers.
It's good to be here. I'm especially looking forward to this because I've known you to be one who has a no-holds-barred, disposition. So today, I'd like us to start off the conversation, though, talking about the history between Ghana and Germany, going all the way back to the 17th century and everything else from the the colonial era, and then from 1950 and what happened. But since the 2000s, the relationship has really taken off, and you've been in town for about, what, some 3 years already?
It has been 3 years now, yes. Please.
Right. How would you describe the relationship between Germany and Ghana in 2024?
Okay, I just was wondering if we go all the way back to the beginning of Christianity in West Africa. But no, I think let's call it the modern relations between Ghana and Germany, I think, started prominently in the 2000 with John Kufuor becoming president, and a very special relationship between John Kufuor and Horst Köhler, the IMF governor at the time. And ever since, I think, Ghana in the beginning of the Kufuor administration has been very instrumental in getting a deal done with the Ghana and the IMF about restructuring the debt at the time, and the same happened in recent years when we, as the one of the larger bilateral donors, also tried to be helpful in assisting Ghana in striking a deal with the IMF in order to resettle the debt issue here in the country.
Mm. And these have been very fruitful relations from what I have seen. But in terms of trade, for example, I have followed the patterns all the way till about 2022. It wouldn't be extremely huge, but there's a lot that is being done and a lot more that can be done. When you look at trade relations between our two countries, what do you see? What are the focal areas and how can they be made better?
I think the most striking thing is that the pattern is quite stable over time. Even during Corona days, the trade patterns were not very much impacted.
Right.
We, with the initiative of the Compact with Africa, we were hoping that Ghana would make important steps toward becoming a automotive country in the region. After several years, I'm afraid we have to know that not all expectations became a reality, and we are still missing important steps of policies to be taken that were promised at the time. We noticed that not only German but other car manufacturers are getting a little bit impatient, and I'm afraid that some momentum has been lost. So that would have been a big game changer in trade patterns.
I do know that Volkswagen is doing something in Ghana, is it not?
Yes, we are Volkswagen is assembling cars that previously were produced in South Africa and then knocked down and then assembled in Ghana. This is a not unusual way of starting as an automotive nation, but we had hoped that more courageous policy measures would have been taken in order to encourage companies to invest in particular into the production of automotive parts.
I see. And would you say that since this agreement started, it's not just been Volkswagen, but other entities have come into the country? How fruitful has it been, building on that? And I pose that question on the back of Ghana from the independence era all through the 1970s. You know, there was a growing automobile industry. In fact, 2 popular vehicles were produced with Ghanaian names, right? And then it fizzled out at a point, and that was it. Do you feel Ghana can and should get to the point where we can build on such developments and maybe create a hub like Kenya, Tanzania, and some other countries have done in the automobile industry?
I mean, your question is tied to the future of the African continental free trade area. The automotive industry in general is very, very volume sensitive. So you need large markets in order to justify the investments that are needed to run a modern, competitive car manufacturing plan. Right. And 30 million alone just wouldn't do the trick. So you need to team up with the bigger countries in the region and try to build a solid unified economic area where these cars can be traded, whether they are Japanese, German, or Ghanaian built.
So that would be the logical next step.
Yeah, I mean there are some talks with between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, but I mean we have been on this issue for several years now, and I'm afraid there's too little progress to be reported.
Too little progress. What would you say is leading to this lack of progress? Is it from our end? And I mean, what is impeding the process?
Well, the vested interest. So it's about custom duties for imported cars. If you are someone who wants to invest into car production in Ghana, you want to make sure that cars that are imported are imported with a certain duty. Right. There are many people who don't like that. You want to have a market for used cars that favors the reusing of your cars. Right. So if you are operating in a regime where overly used cars can be imported and still are allowed to drive in the streets of Accra, then you will have a hard time to sell your used car made in Ghana. So this plays all together, and there are vested interests on many sides, and this is what then takes place in Parliament, that these interests are acting against each other.
So vested interests, and you couldn't have put it any better. So push and pull factors, and you have to deal with that, and because of that, the process has sort of stagnated. But tell me, I'm also curious on the matter of trade, development, education. I remember all the way from the late 90s into the early 2000s, because I used to visit my aunt at the main office of WIAC. Now they have a different HQ, and I would pass through the German, enclave there. In terms of development, the GIZ and academic interactions, scholarships and all of that, the DAAD, how is that faring in Ghana?
Let's start with the second part of your question and the academic relations. We have a good news and a bad news. The good news is that we have a growing number of Ghanaians who are interested in going to Germany for study purposes. The downside is that the waiting list for visa is getting longer and longer, so that is very, very challenging.
Is that to say you've seen an uptick in numbers? Because
yes.
The Americans, for example, say that the number has tripled. Are you seeing same when it comes to Germany?
Not. I wouldn't say tripled, but it has increased in the last 2 to 3 years. And that is, of course, very, very encouraging, because that is the future base of bilateral relations, is the people who have been in the other country to make experience and learn and bring it back home. So at the same time, Ghana is a very, very important regional hub for institutions funded by the German government. It looks at mathematics, it looks at environmental science, we have some important research activities since more than 30 years now with KNUST, the KCCR, and tropical medicine. So this is a huge huge field of bilateral cooperation, and this will drive the future cooperation more than any other element of our cooperation, more than development cooperation. You mentioned GIZ and GIZ.
Before you go to GIZ,
yes,
so a quick follow-up. I'm sure especially young people in Ghana will be interested in this question. While you say the number of applications have increased, have the numbers of visas being given out also increased?
Yes, the refusal rate is relatively moderate in our embassy. This has probably to do with certain barriers like language barriers. So only if you go to an English-speaking country, then everybody gives it a shot. But right. The idea of going to Germany, where they speak this weird language, maybe there's a certain threshold that.
So some level of proficiency, right?
Exactly. So which leads to the fact that the applications are a little bit more serious and professional than in other cases. That's a theory, it's not a proven fact. So. But this is how we try to, when we look for explanations, this is...
Right. Well, that reminds me of my days in class for my Eins. But anyway, let's get into your...
At the Goethe Institute.
Yes, at the Goethe Institute. And that was it. I left it there because
you loved that, right?
It was fantastic. But then I traveled to Cuba after that, and my Spanish just took over.
Okay.
So I have to get back to my German. I still have my books. Yeah. I have to get back to them. But let's talk about GIZ, Development Cooperation.
Yeah, I mean, Ghana, despite the fact that it is somewhere middle-income country these days, is a recipient of a huge amount of development cooperation over the last 8 to 10 years. The current portfolio amounts to more than 700 million, and the two major implementation agencies are GIZ and the KfW Bank. So they have a large portfolio to cover, and so they are very, very active in country and very well known around not only in the city center of Accra, but especially in the northern regions. I just was the other day in VAR.
I know they do quite a bit of work there.
Where they are very, very strong in the agricultural sector, trying to support and assist farmers in their challenge to cope with climate change. And they have been a trusted partner over time in that region.
Let's talk economy now. And even before we come into Ghana and the IMF, supported program and everything, I want to take you back to Germany. How is the biggest economy in Europe faring? And I do know that there has been a little bit of turbulence on the back of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and the positioning in recent times to support Ukraine with arms and everything that has come with it. But how is the biggest economy in Europe faring on the back of all that is going on?
You may call it smaller turbulences, but imagine that from one day to the other, the main source of energy for the Ghana industry is cut off, and
right.
That is what happened to Germany.
Russia threatened to do that, and they, I mean, by and large, and of course, when you also weaned yourself from
but
some of the
the experience until that date were with the Russian supplies on the energy sector were very reliable, despite all difficulties. The Russians always try to be a very trustworthy partner when it comes to energy supplies. But this time they just overstretched, and so we had to come up with the solutions. I think it went surprisingly well. And of course there were peaks of energy prices. People were taking advantage, but predictions are now a little bit less stressful than the past. We embarked on a very ambitious road on energy transition. So we need to not only replace the gas supplies from Russia, but we also have to stay away in future times from coal. So we have to come up with a dramatic investment into renewable energy. These days the energy sometimes is already more than 50% from renewable energies. So it is a very, very ambitious proof of concept that we want to prove that even an industrialized country like Germany is capable of taking these courageous steps and making the economy much greener than in the past.
What lessons would you say Germany has learned from that experience with how things went?
I think we have learned that it's very complex and very challenging, and we are not done yet. As everybody knows, when you start increasing the percentage of renewable energies to your energy matrix, it becomes all much more flexible, and fluctuations are much higher. So you need a very, very smart grid to cope with this input, and still manage to have a stable energy supply. So that is very, very challenging, and more challenging even than our engineers have thought. And secondly, we are looking into green hydrogen, and that is of course a very complex challenge when it comes to infrastructure and so on. But I think there is a huge push in research, and there are some important research institutions who are really looking into the future in the industry, and there are interesting technologies coming up. And my line to the Ghanaians is always that something is happening out there, not only in Germany but around the globe. So new sources of energy are being tested and developed, and Ghana is well advised to look into this development and see what is in for Ghana.
Right, and that was the very next question I was going to come to, because if you consider, for example, the 1960s, the founder of Ghana, as I see it, and as we've had it, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he came forth with the idea and at least the concept of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. It never really took off. He was deposed and everything went downhill from there, even to today. What lessons can Ghana learn as far as energy is concerned from Germany and this phase you've been through over the last 2 years? I'm sure you know of our independent power producer situation and how much we have to pay, about the doomsaw and the new version of it, about trying to go solar in some places. How do you think we can benefit from learning from Germany?
Well, maybe it's not wise to only look at one country or Germany. I always like to refer to California, where renewable energy became very popular the moment when the house owner were allowed to put their solar panels up and sell the energy to the grid. That dramatically changed the entire landscape, and that's something I believe is also something that can then give a huge push to Ghana, and that, in my view, would be so much more obvious than looking into the possibility of becoming a nuclear energy producer, which I think, at least this is what the experts in my country are telling us. If you really take all costs into account, especially the cost of recycling of the plants and the fuels, then it becomes a very, very costly source of energy. So that is I think something Ghana could learn. And the view on energy has been dramatically changed by people who first opposed wind energy. They didn't like the idea that they would start building these windmills around their village. Until the moment they were involved in the investment, so they became investors and they became beneficiaries,
exactly.
and were allowed to invest and to sell the energy. That totally changed their attitudes toward the new technologies. And as I said, I can imagine there are many options here in Ghana that can be tested.
Right. I guess it stands to reason. Once you beneficiate it, then people will want to latch on. And a good example would be the Dutch and how they've tapped into wind energy, for example. After this next question, I'll leave Europe and come predominantly to Ghana. But I just, out of curiosity, on the back of everything that has happened over the last 2 years plus between Russia and Ukraine, do you foresee that this war could come to some conclusion soon, especially now that Ukraine has made incursions in Russia?
Well, if you can read the mind of Mr. Putin, then you find the answer to your question.
But you're all pushing for peace, right?
Yes, we are, of course. I mean, we don't want this war. We never wanted the war. And it was Putin who started it, and it's Putin who can stop it. I'm afraid it's as simple as that. So whatever makes this gentleman to make the move towards peace will change the game. I think Europe is ready to but not at any price. I mean, it's this war was started to occupy territory of a sovereign country, and that is something the UN cannot accept, and Europe cannot accept. That someone tries by military force to rewrite the order of Europe.
All right, so latching on to that, you mentioned structures and other issues that have to be dealt with, but let's also contemplate that on the governance level, we've had a lot to deal with, even economically speaking. Inflation hit the roof at 54%, it's come down to about 20%. I don't want to talk about the exchange rate, which has flip-flopped. Our currency has faced issues. The IMF supported program and everything in between. When you look at how we have fared on the back of that, would you say we're making progress as our government is touting? And what more would you like to see in that regard?
Well, I would like to recall that Ghana was at one point very close to a meltdown, and Ghana, with the support of the IMF, was capable of containing this this threat of a total meltdown of the banking system and so on. Of course, there were painful measures to be implemented. I know friends who lost a lot of their savings due to the cuts in the domestic. Yes, so that was all very painful for many. But in the end, you can argue that at least the worst has been prevented from happening. So we should not forget that. Now, is this enough to move forward, to come to new growth rates that are sufficient to feed a growing population? Probably not. So, but maybe you cannot do everything in one program. And so this was about stabilizing the financial sector, stabilizing the country. And that is, I think, has been done quite successfully. Still, there are structural issues that have to be overcome, but this is not something that can you just call the IMF and then it's done. But this is something that has to be worked on and cannot be solved overnight. And I mentioned structural issues with regard to food imports. You know, the fact that a country like Ghana, who has fertile soil, sun and water, imports 70% of all food items, it's quite unique, I'm afraid. And so
I think I have a better word. It's absurd. It's absurd.
That's your word. I would
well,
rather opt for it's a special case of.
I see you've put on your very diplomatic hat.
But this is in part was also probably due to the fact that the currency of Ghana was quite highly valued. So maybe we are now coming more to more normal terms. We have now a central bank who is no longer wasting money in defending undefendable exchange rates. And
it's because on the back of the IMF program, they can't give money to government like they used to. But I'll just make this point. This wasn't a Ghana problem, as though Ghana were unique. COVID-19 hit the whole world, even the smallest of islands. The Russo-Ukrainian war, we were just talking about it, even Germany still, you're being affected by it. Some countries in the sub-region have fared better than others, including Ghana. Some countries have fared much better than we have. On the back of that, I would also rope in the latest Afrobarometer report and what it reveals about leadership across the board, how democracy is piping down, losing out, or losing currency in terms of support among people in Africa generally, and also especially here. In fact, a striking problem you would notice is that, especially in the countries that have gone the way of military rule, which nobody wants, by the way, there seems to be a lot more support for that, and the gains of democracy, or the preference for democracy, is reducing steadily. In one instance, I don't know whether it's Burkina Faso or Mali or another one of those countries, it declined by 40%. When you look at that, does it make you worried?
There are certainly questions raised that needs to be looked at, but I still believe in this wonderful line they're saying democracy might not be perfect, but it's still the best system I know. And what makes a democracy resilient against challenges is the support of all the citizens to this system to make it work. So yes, I can question parliamentarians who build their special economic model in a certain way, and I can criticize it. At the same time, as a voter, I also have to ask myself, am I maybe fueling certain patterns of behavior of certain politicians, because I'm always asking for things a member of parliament might not be responsible for. So I think it's always very easy to delegate the responsibility to the member of parliament, to the member of government. But at the same time, it's also about the citizens, how actively and how ambitiously they are really asking their representatives to do their work. And I think it really depends on that you cannot let them go away with that, but you have to challenge them and ask them to work for the best interest of the country.
And well, there are times when even young people have poured onto the streets to call for that, more responsibility. But we have a bit of a curious and convoluted... Go ahead.
Now, the other day I was surprised. A photographer had told me that you have to help us. I said, why do I have to help you? Yeah, you have to help Ghana and you have to give us money. Well, why do I have to give you money? Well, we have to pay demonstrators to go into the street and demonstrate.
Who was telling you this?
A photographer. So I said, wait a minute, so aren't you going to for demonstrations because you're demonstrating for your own interest? But this is exactly what I'm referring to. It's this attitude that you have to a system like democracy.
Well, I don't know about that photographer. He may be the odd one out. But I was also going to look at the question about the curious nature or convoluted nature of our development, and maybe why we're here. Because members of parliament technically are not supposed to be agents of development, so to speak, even per our constitution. The district chief executives at the assembly level as well They are supposed to be in charge of it. Unfortunately, that is not working as it ought to. The District Assembly Common Fund is not working as it ought. That is how, through some means, members of parliament are now agents in a way, being lobbied and all of that. So maybe that's another, a discussion for another day. But when you look at our brand of democracy, our fledgling democratic experiment, it's been some 32 years. I look at the canon system in Switzerland. I look at Germany and how you go about it, the base of development. When you look at Ghana, would you say 32 years on, we could be doing better than where we are now?
You mean the last 32 years? Or,
yes, since 1992 when we started this.
I'm a humble ambassador. How can I judge? I think Ghana is a sovereign state. They found their solution at the time. And this is about democracy. You have to negotiate your solutions every day again. It's not that you take the decision and leave it to a ruler and then he will dictate where Ghana has to go through. It's about negotiating every day again the compromises the people want to and are willing to subscribe. It's
on the back of that, there are some people who say our constitution needs urgent review. In fact, in the year 2010, we had a Constitutional Review Commission set up. They did their work, very voluminous. It's gathering dust. What do you make of that? I mean, look at the German example, for example.
I mean, that's a very fruitful debate, but I know very different views on this. I had this wonderful morning meeting with some smart people from Ghana. And we were discussing about the concentration of power in the hands of one, and that might be a major problem because then decision making is bottlenecked, and so everybody said, no, we need decentralization, this and that. Everybody said that except one. And at one point, everybody was pointing to him. So you haven't said anything. Why not? He said, I totally disagree. I totally disagree.
Is this person in authority?
Yes, he said, imagine we had the right leader. He was then later referring to Lee Kuan Yew from Singapore.
Right.
We would need exactly this kind of constitution to make sure that the necessary reforms can be implemented swiftly.
Right.
So there's more than one view on reform.
What do you think? What do you think? Is it the concentration of power that works, or the devolution of power so that one person doesn't become too powerful? Because you remember Lord Acton's aphorism, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. When Barack Obama came to Ghana, he said, we don't need strong men, we need strong institutions. That person is saying we need strong men. It has worked for Singapore and Lee Kuan Yew. Would it necessarily work for us? That's another question altogether.
Yeah, it's Ghana has to find its way. It's not on me to write a recipe. It's about the Ghanaians to discuss this question, which is I think a very challenging one and very tempting for people to discuss that and right. to always recalibrate your political system, and that I think is the charm of democracy. You know, that you have the institutions in place that you can constantly refine the way of decision making in your society.
Right. Let's talk about, let's stay on democracy, because we're entering our 8th electoral cycle since 1992. There have been 2 changes of power on an 8-year basis, 1992 to 2000, or 93 better still, to 2000. Then 2000 to 2008, 2008 to 2016, and now 2016 to 2024. We're at the crossroads again. What, as German ambassador to Ghana, are you expecting to see before, during, and after election 2024, especially as there have been 2 election petitions, and I'm sure you've listened to the tenor, the language that has been used, especially by the major political parties, the MPP in power and the NDC. What will be your expectations, even before we get into how the parties are conducting themselves?
Well, since Ghana returning to democracy, the Ghanaian people have proven that they have taken very good care of the transition of power, and that they every 8 years managed to have this handing over. And I don't expect anything less than that the Ghanaian people will make sure that their vote, that their decision on the date of election will be respected and implemented. And Ghana has a proven record that they have been able to manage these challenging times, and they will do the same thing again. I personally believe there will be we will probably have a second round of elections, which I'm surprised that Ghanaians are not so much preparing for.
And you forecast, when you look into your crystal ball, you think there could be a runoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's my first election in Ghana, so I'm a greenhorn, and my good friends tell me that I'm a greenhorn and that I should be more careful. But I think there are some good arguments to expect that there might be a second round. You mentioned some interventions which make me think of times in the United States electoral process when Mr. Trump states that he will never accept defeat. I think Democrats need to have a different attitudes that would be very would show a disrespect to the voters. Not to accept any decisions the voters will take. So I would expect from any democratic leader to honor the outcome of the election.
Are you trying to say that, and I'll just read some of the commentary for you shortly, but are you trying to say that even in the United States, probably one of the biggest bastions of democracy globally, Trump said something he didn't want to hand over, tried every means. Even Mike Pence, his vice president, went ahead and signed off. The system prevailed. And so he couldn't sustain that. The system pushed him out, even though the rhetoric had been never, never, never. Is that what you're saying? That no matter what happens, even if there's a pushback, the system should prevail?
But the rules of the game should prevail, yes, of course.
Right.
And I mean, we both know that it was very close call at the time in the United States. And I think that me, like many others, were surprised on how quickly these institutions, which were perceived as being so powerful, were being played with and played against. And so, and as you rightly said, this happened in a country that was known for very strong, solid, and independent-minded institutions. Not every country is like that, and so there's a stronger set of values in institutions like in others, and so it's. It needs strong institution, but it also needs democratically committed leaders who accept the decision of the electorate.
All right. Even before I get to some of these comments, very recently we heard the chairman of the National Democratic Congress say that, you know, usually there'll be some peace pact, a declaration they sign that we're going to maintain the peace. You do recall that in the last election, 8 lives were lost in 2020. we're trying to avoid a repeat because who knows what that could stoke. And he said it's not just in the signing of peace pacts, and so we are not interested in that. It's about doing the right things so that we don't have to get there. That rhetoric in itself is problematic. On the back of that, at the recent launch of the MPP's manifesto, then there is talk about, oh, we'll also not sacrifice, the elections on the altar of peace. In other words, saying, okay, to hell with peace, and we have to do what it takes, whatever it takes. Then you come to also recent comments by the Agric Minister, Brian Champong. He says, it will never happen that we, the MPP, will stand on a platform to hand over power to the NDC. If the NDC dares to resort to threats, violence, and imprudence during the 2024 election, we will demonstrate our strength. What strength, we don't know. We'll show them that we are well prepared. And he repeats, last year I said this, blah, 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 and he says, and therefore the MPP will not hand over power to them because they cannot win the elections. The former president has come in to say, you don't determine who wins the elections. If the people vote for me, you will have to hand over to me, speaking to the president. On the other side, an NDC member, Malik Basintali, also comes in and says, he dares to say, that is Brian Champong dares to say he will not hand over to us. If he is truly a man, let him refuse to hand over power and he will see what happens. When iron meets iron, you will see fire. The National Peace Council, the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, CSOs, many people have been concerned about this rhetoric which raises tensions. From where you sit in the diplomatic community, what can be done to ensure that we don't go the way of Venezuela, that we have peaceful elections, and that what is right is done, the will of the people is accepted?
To start with Venezuela, I don't. I see Venezuela far away from Ghana. So let's boil it down.
I use Venezuela on the basis of the will of the people, supposedly not being accepted. That's the point there. And the U.S., Argentina, and others have corroborated that. So that is the point on Venezuela.
Yeah, maybe you came across the fact that I was posted in Venezuela at some point in my career, and so I know how far away this so-called democratic system of Venezuela is compared to the well-established, well-proven system in Ghana that over the 20 years was capable of ensuring that the will of the people was implemented. I'm afraid certain of these statements might be done in order to catch attention in the runoff to the elections and so on. I share people who are concerned. I don't think it is wise to put oil into the fire if you want to distinguish the fire. So I think every democratic-minded leader and candidate should take this into account. And again, it's on the people to make sure that their vote is respected. And there, I think I'm pretty confident that the Ghanaians will not allow anybody, whoever it is, to take away their decision. And there are many ways how election results are scrutinized, and I think the system is quite well established that major fraud, impactful fraud is almost excluded. So I think Ghanaians are a very peaceful-minded country, and the overwhelming majority of this country wishes peaceful, fair, and transparent elections, and they will make sure that they will enjoy these kind of elections.
The international community usually comes in to observe and all of that. How actively is Germany going to be a part of that in terms of observing election 2024?
Yeah, we have mainly three pillars in how we try to contribute to what I just described as the effort of the people of Ghana to make sure that they have this peaceful, fair, and transparent elections. First of all, we're financing security courses to coordinate security agencies in the run-off to elections in order to be able to experience and cope with what they call electoral violence. We did this in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and other places. We are engaging and financing seminars for journalists about fact-checking techniques. And finally, we will register some of our my team members will register as we will be out there on election day and support Ghanaian people in their effort to observe the election. So make sure that everything runs.
Will you personally be out there on election day?
Yes, I will be.
All right, interesting. I'll look out for you. Before we conclude, let's also talk about current projects that Germany has going on in Ghana. And after that, I'll come through with two very light questions, interesting ones. But current projects, anything you'd like to talk about? Germany in Ghana and what you're up to?
The most exciting is a very relatively small one. It's about green hydrogen. Bui Power is in negotiations with a research institute in Germany to set up a small pilot green hydrogen electrolyzer, which will enable Bui Power to combine green hydrogen and their hydropower and provide a 24-hour source of energy. That's a small pilot, but I strongly believe in small, and then you grow.
I like what you believe in small, huh?
Yes, I believe in small, and then you build. Well, once you have proven that the concept works, then you build on it. And as I mentioned earlier, I strongly believe that there are some very exciting opportunities for Ghana and new fuels if it comes to fuel for airlines and aircrafts. When it comes for the shipping industry, there's so much changing. So I like very much this pilot project, and I hope that it will be that the kickoff will start before I leave the country.
I see. All right. I was about to ask about timelines, but now you're saying you hope it will start before you leave the country. So I don't know whether you're getting another term, whether you're going to be in Ghana for much longer.
I will be here through the elections and until July next year.
Okay. All right. I'd like to find out, what's your favorite Ghanaian food?
Really? It's palava sauce. I die for palava sauce.
I see.
Yes.
What do you take it with?
With the usual
yam, rice. I mean, there are people.
Please, with the yam and the plantain. And,
okay. Yeah. Okay. I see.
I enjoy very much.
Maybe one of these days I'd invite you for lunch and would have some.
Your private palava recipe.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'd try.
All right.
We'd try. But moving on from there, the very final bit before I take your final words. I know you love the piano. Are you very musical? Did you grow up playing any instrument?
Well, I grew up playing piano and the clarinet. And
I see. How young were you?
I started when I was 8 years. Yeah, I started with piano. And my mother was very strict, very strict. She never played an instrument herself, but she insisted that all of her 4 children had to play an instrument. So. There were times where I hated it, and now today I'm very happy that I have this moment for myself where I can really relax and play music, either classical music or some jazz or some.
Who's your favorite, should I say, in terms of the masters of the piano, or those who, I've just forgotten the name, those who write these different, who's your favorite?
I think when it comes to classical music, it's Beethoven.
Okay.
And
I see a bit of a bias there, but yes.
Slightly.
Okay, Beethoven. Yeah. All right, so I guess in your spare time you would play this, calm yourself. Are you teaching your children to do same?
No, I did not. They are now 28 and 30 years old, so I missed my chance.
You didn't do that with them.
The mother to my children always said it's my job to teach them an instrument. I was most of the time not around during daytime, so that was I missed that. Yes.
Well, sorry about that. Any final words for us?
Well, I wish Ghana all the best for coming elections, and that they are defending their vote, and that they will be enjoying fair, peaceful elections.
Well, thank you very much for joining the conversation today on AM Exclusive. It's been insightful, and I look forward to seeing you having a discussion maybe in 2025 post our elections.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
And this has been our engagement on AM Exclusive with Daniel Krull, the German ambassador to Ghana. He's been gracious enough to welcome us into his home, his residence here. This has been Benjamin Akakpo on The Beat today. Thank you for watching.
On that classic note, let's pivot into the Joy News Habitat Fair. And some more companies are promising discounts as part of this year's EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Here's EcoBank Habitat. Here's the. Let's take a look at AM Business for today.
So J&J Technical Services is a backup power company. We are solely involved in the supply, installation, maintenance of diesel generators. The company was set up in 1994 to provide power, other forms of power to the Ghanaian economy. We have a strength in various industries. If you look at healthcare, we have quite a lot of presence there. Kolebu, Komfanoche, Nyaho. If you look at manufacturing, Kasapreku, if you look at banking. So we've managed to put our foot in various industries, because at the end of the day, for these places to run and run effectively, they need a good source of backup power. And that's what we try to do. And to add on to that, we have a very good team, a very good, strong technical team that is highly trained to be able to support the product, because at the end of the day, you just don't want to sell. You want to support, look after the product, because at the end of the day, that speaks to who you are as an individual. So one of our key selling points is we offer 24/7 after-sales support, which means that your name is James? Okay. That means if James calls me at 2 a.m. and he tells me his generator is not starting, it's not responding, there's an issue, I have a caveat or a KPI that within an hour, if you're in Accra, I need to be at your house or wherever it is you are to be able to work on that genset and make it start. Because at a time like that, your security is in question, your safety is in question, and your comfort is in question. And because those are a priority to you, it's also a priority to me, and I need to be able to give you a solution. So I'd say we have a very good team who supports a very good, high-quality product. So the head office is in Accra. We also have a warehouse and training facility at Hacho, but we have a branch in Kumasi as well. We are in Asukwa on the Mall Stadium Road. It's in a prime location as well. So in terms of locations, those are our places.
Where can we locate you? Let's say someone coming from Takwa, Navrongo, coming to Accra. Where do we locate you guys? What's the location? So
we usually say Abosokan on the Kolebu Mocho Road. So I think if you even type that into Google, you'll be able to find us. So we're based in Accra, in Abosokan on the Kolebu Mocho Road. That's where the head office is based.
Right. Talking about the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, this happens to be your second time.
Yes.
From last year's experience, why are you back this time?
I mean, no matter the industries I mentioned, healthcare, banking, at the end of the day, these people live in homes. And at the end of the day, once their home is supported well, they can go to work and work effectively. So residential homes, it's very important to us. And we came up with Our range, maybe let me go back. Our range of gensets, we also focus on the smaller ones that can take care of homes. So there is a clear fit there so that we can provide some of these homeowners with generators, provide them with after-sale support. And I think we did some good business from the last fair. So for us, it's also another channel where we can introduce ourselves to new clients, new prospects, and introduce to them what we have.
So, still on why you guys are back. This year, what should we expect from you guys?
The G&J, we try not to change so much in what we do. We're a 30-year-old company. We stick to what we know, which is a quality product supported by a highly skilled team. So what to expect from us is good prices. If delivery is within Accra, obviously we do that for free. If we have to come to your house to do an assessment and a survey, once you come through the channel of the EcoBank Fair, that survey is free as well. You definitely benefit from discounts when you come through the same channel as well. So right off the bat, if you engage us, there's a 2.5% discount there and then. If the conversation progresses further to you actually buying, we add on an extra 7.5%. So in that space, you're looking at quite a lot of discounts. So I think we managed to put a proposal together that's quite attractive for homeowners. And the way Ghana is at the moment, you want to make this a bit flexible for people. So that's what we're trying to do.
From what you said, can we say you're giving 10% discount?
10% discount.
Okay. Now, for the ordinary Ghanaian out there, yes, we all know generators.
Yes.
Maybe for some of us who don't have that technical eye with respect to the generator aspect, can you run us through some of the gensets you guys sell? Maybe there's a particular name or part to it. I don't know what exactly.
Okay, so a generator is basically made up of an engine, an alternator, and a control, and it's in a small house, which is a white canopy. A name a lot of people know on the market is Perkins. When you hear Perkins, you know, okay, it's a quality generator. So, yeah, we supply various kinds of engines. Perkins, Scania, Mitsubishi, Lester Petter. The reason we do all of that is we like to give people options. The more options, the more you have that liberty to pick from, and at the end of the day, it's a decision that works best for the client. So I don't know if that answers your question, but when it comes to households, we usually focus on the smaller ones, ranging from, let's say, 8 kVA up to 30 kVA. Those are the usual ranges for homes. So if let's say James has 5 air conditioners in his house, on average 2 horsepower for all the ACs. What we usually recommend for something of that sort is something between 15 and 20 kVA. So that's how we usually do it.
Okay, finally, what should prospective homeowners who would be coming to the Habitat Fair expect from you guys? Final ways.
Okay, so if you come to the Habitat Fair, just know that you're coming to meet a company that just doesn't want to sell to you. We want to provide you with a solution, which means we are going to sit with you, ask you the necessary questions, go the extra step of coming to your house, doing an assessment, letting you know the size of gensets you need, but the other accessories that would enable the gensets work and work well. We will discuss with you payment plans. We will discuss with you servicing options. At the end of the day, we want to give you peace of mind. So if you come, you're coming to talk to a solution provider who's going to make your life a bit easier and give you backup power.
Any social media handles, your phone numbers?
So when it comes to social media, you can reach us on Instagram, GJ Tech Ghana, G&J Technical Services Limited. If it's website, www.gjtechghana.com. Phone number 0302-689-178 or 0302-689-179. And for phone number, there is 020-2222-204. And the other one, same number but ends with 20. So there are different numbers you can call.
Welcome back. And you don't want to miss the EcoBank Joy News Habitats Fair, so be on the lookout and get ready for amazing discounts and freebies. Now, before we get into our next burst of conversations, get ready for the Pastors Kids Conference 2024. It's the Legacy Edition. Are you a child of a pastor, preacher, or Christian minister? You are not alone. So join other pastors' children from all denominations for the Pastors Kids Conference 2024 under the theme Legacy. The host is Apostle Francis Agyinasare, and it's coming off on the 24th of August 2024 at the Perez Dome at Jolu Junction right here in Accra. It will start at 9 a.m. prompt, and there will be song ministrations by Kofi Osu-Pepra, Enyonyam, Mrs. Ella Agyinasare, PKC Choir, and others. And it is absolutely free. It would be an exciting time for networking, music, learning, and empowerment, so you don't want to miss it. For registration or just to make further inquiries, you can call or WhatsApp them on 055-006-8632. 055-006-8632. And it is absolutely free. This is the Pastors Kids Conference 2024, the Legacy Edition. Hopefully, we'll see you soon. And on that note, let's talk about another an event coming up which you don't want to miss. It is the Guiding the Next Generation event on the theme Dealing with Toxic Characters as Young People. And it's spearheaded by our very own Oso right here at Joy News. Pastor Maoli Tete, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have this conversation with you also.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Very good.
Great. So this Step-Tet outreach ministry is yours.
Yes.
And you're collaborating with the Kanda Assemblies of God Church to bring the Guiding the Next Generation event. Tell me about that. First of all, what inspired you to create an event like this?
Okay, the inspiration, I would say, is from God. Yeah. And also looking at the challenges of the teenagers today is on the increase. The indiscipline, the irresponsibility, both home and in schools. And if we don't take care, we wouldn't have a generation that will take over from us. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what's inspiring a theme as well, which is dealing with toxic characters as young people. What exactly do you hope to achieve at the end of this event with this theme?
I hope to achieve at the end of the day that children and parents are able to look out for the toxic characters in their lives and be able to deal with it. That if parents are not in the children's life, we wouldn't have a disciplined generation.
Okay, this is not the event, but let's break it down a bit. When you talk about toxic behaviors or toxic traits, what exactly do you mean by that? And why do you think it's important for us to identify these traits, either parents or a child? Why is it important? So what are these toxic traits?
Some of these toxic traits are that the children don't care what they do to others. Likewise, the parents.
Okay.
Everything is fine, even when they know it's hurting. The child doesn't care hitting the other child with a metal. So far as he is okay.
Okay.
He's fine.
So in discipline, the breakdown of family values in the home, these are things you want to tackle on in terms of toxic traits.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting what you're doing. So let's talk about the lineup of people coming to speak at this event. As you can see on the background, I hope on your screens, we have yourself, Pastor Maoli Tete. You'll be speaking, and then we have Mrs. Selassie Doku, and she's a licensed counselor and life strategist. What's unique about her? You know, what's she adding to this?
She's on top of issues when it comes to guidance and counseling.
Right.
And then don't forget, she's also a life strategist. Everyone in this life needs a strategy. When your life is not strategically positioned, you miss out on a lot of things. But when you are strategically positioned, everything is within your reach.
Okay. So we also have Reverend Eric and Anabela. He's lead pastor at the Kanda Assemblies of God Church. We also have Miss Janet Owusu. She's a star midwife officer.
Senior midwife.
Senior midwifery officer. And then we have Pastor Daniel Anan, also a life coach and a counselor.
He's a solid man of God.
Okay, at the Assemblies
of God. And a life
God?
coach, no.
Okay.
He's a solid man of God. And then he knows the challenges and speaks to it accordingly. He wouldn't beat about it, but hit it right on the head.
As well as Miss Nora Dixon, and she's also a counselor and social, someone from the social welfare department. So all these people have the experience, expertise, and knowledge to change the narrative or to help reorient both parents and children in terms of toxic traits. And this is not just a church event, right?
No. It's open to all. You can be a Buddhist, you are welcomed. You can be a Shintoist, you are welcome.
Right.
Even the traditionalist, the Muslim is welcome because discipline cuts across, irresponsibility cuts across, and you can't miss it for anything.
Okay. And it's happening. So let's talk about the details then, the where, when, and the time.
It's happening at the Kanda Assembly of God Church Auditorium located behind the NADMO headquarters. The time is 9 a.m.
Sharp.
Sharp, not Ghana time.
Okay.
Obroni time.
Okay.
And then to 1 p.m., which I'm sure will even be closing before then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very much time conscious.
Yeah, the way you just said, everyone needs a strategy. I'm sure one of your strategies is to
we need
be
time conscious.
punctual.
You know, some of the parents leave the children at the mercy of making wealth for them.
I mean, is the demands of this era, wouldn't you say also? Because first we used to have people who could discipline children on behalf of parents. You know, I didn't see much of it, but I've heard stories of when if you were a child and you were going wayward, someone in the community or the
would discipline the child for you. But you can't do that today because parents will come at you.
Yes, who gives you the right to touch my child?
But growing up in a community called Mamobi Nima in Newtown, you know, the community will check you then, but not now.
Do you think that's also part of what's contributing to the breakdown of the values, for which reason we have a lot of toxic characters?
The community values have been thrown out of the window. Yeah. So we need to bring it back. When you're a parent and someone disciplines your child, you don't need to go at the person, but first ask what happened.
Okay. So I'm sure if you attend this, first of all, you would understand what these toxic traits are. And once you understand them, then you can even begin the process of changing them.
Exactly.
So let's talk to our audience directly. Why should they attend this event?
Okay. Well, you should be attending this event because, one, you may not know what you are doing to your child. And two, you may know, but wouldn't know how to go about dealing with it. So when you attend, you have a fair idea and a first-hand information on how to deal with all these things, all the indiscipline, all the irresponsibilities, and not leaving your children at the mercy of making wealth for them. When you make the wealth and they are not responsible, how do they manage it? I hope to see you on Saturday. No parent is exempted.
Thank you so much, Pastor Maoli Tete, and you are the founder of the Step-Ted Outreach Ministry.
Yeah.
Congratulations for this wonderful event, and I'll try and make time and come and experience all these experiences.
We'll be glad to see you. In the Ever Balance, there is something we say that no, in sympathizing with the chicks, sympathize with the hawk as well. The chick needs to survive, and the hawk also needs to feed. So you need to balance the two properly so you don't hurt any of them.
Right, so let's take a quick but gentle reminder. This is the Guiding the Next Generation events at the Assemblies of God Church at Kanda, and it's spearheaded by the Step-Ted Outreach Ministry in collaboration with the Kanda Assemblies of God Church, and you don't want to miss it. Coming up on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. sharp. Latest by 1, you're out of there. Let's take a break now. We'll return with more on the AM show. Now let's have a conversation with the superwoman. I'm talking about none other but Ohineyere Gifty Auntie, the president and founder of the Gifty Auntie Foundation, as well as the host of The Standpoint, 16 years and still counting. Hello, Auntie Gifty. Welcome to the program.
Hi. Good to see you.
It's such an honor to have this conversation.
I've been watching you on TV, you know. Yeah, doing all the things that you do. Yeah.
Trying to be like a big girl like you. Eh?
But
yeah.
Before we go, who did that piece? This ability.
Yeah, disabled. Disabled. Yeah, Emmanuel Jivenu from our education desk.
Tell him I owe him lunch. It's a beautiful
I'm
piece.
sure he's watching.
It's a beautiful, amazing.
Can I join him?
No, please.
Right. But let's talk about women called to worship.
Right.
What really inspired you to begin this event, Women Called to Worship? And I see you're wearing the T-shirt.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about it.
Thank you very much. I've always been the church girl, you know, raised in a church. My parents were not, you know, pastors, but they've always been these church people. And my neighborhood, we used to have Sunday school, Mrs. Oponwadie, and it was a beautiful thing. And as I grew up into this woman who have come to understand the need to protect women, to encourage women, and to holistically empower women, one day it just occurred to me that all these things that we've been fighting for, cannot be possible without God's blessing, without the grace of God.
True.
Because I remember my father saying something, you can't walk in this world just like that. You either go with God or you go with something that protects you. You can't just be like a floating walking around.
We're even created to have a dependency on a higher being.
On a higher being. And I chose God. And I've seen what God has done for me. I've seen what God has taken me through. So in July 2011, 3 years after starting the Standpoint TV program, I decided to bring women together to raise an altar of worship unto God, and also to ask for guidance as to where we really have to go, or what we really need to do to bring women out of the bondage. Because, you know, I have come to study the women in the Bible.
Right.
And the women who actually made it into the Bible, they were from different backgrounds. There's Lydia, there's Priscilla, people talk about Esther, Deborah and all that. But there are other women in there, Hannah, they all have different backgrounds, but then they had the God factor that projected them, that pushed them, that made them great. And so that's what we decided to do.
Are you saying you can't be great without the God factor? Just for clarity.
I nearly used the word no.
Okay.
Absolutely no. Without God, you cannot. You know, sometimes I wonder how people think or believe that there's no God. Really? How we wake up, how we leave our home, the air we breathe, you know, how things happen. Things just don't just happen. They are well coordinated by a higher being. And the higher being I see as God.
And that's at the core of it. The core of the relationship with God is worship.
It's worship. And worship is not just coming together to sing and praise. Worship is sacrifice. Worship is being kind. Worship is being that young lady helping the visually impaired. Worship is the people looking at people with disability with love, and not just pity, but love, compassion, and understanding. Worship is coming together to say, Lord, we are grateful for what you've done, for what you are doing and what you are about to do. You know, I'm a fan. My mother used to say, you know, if you thank somebody, you know how, I remember our very first edition, we said a heart of gratitude.
Yeah.
And, you know, our preacher then, Pastor Cynthia P.J. Collins, she said, you know, God loves fans. You know, when it's a Lord, I am great. I know you are going to do it. I know, you know.
Then he does more.
He does more.
Yeah.
And even as humans, when you show gratitude to us, oh, this person is very grateful, we'll keep giving. But then when you do not show gratitude, nobody will help you.
Okay. So from a heart of gratitude in the first edition,
yes.
What's the theme for this time? Is this what number
the
is
rebranded one, number 14.
This is number 14.
14th edition. Last year was Intimate Encounter with God.
Yes.
And nobody has an intimate encounter with God and leaves the same or remains the same. You become rebranded. The woman with the issue of blood, she touched God and she got her healing. Yeah. Hannah had an encounter with God and she had a child. Esther had an encounter with God and she had favor. Her people were saved. Deborah had an encounter with God. I mean, the list is, countless.
So this is rebranded.
Rebranded, the rebranded woman. Rebranded not in terms of just fiscal or attitude, but refocused. Right. Resetting, revitalization, everything revamped. Yeah. Everything to set on, getting to this end of the year, people are giving up. Having achieved my goals, this has not happened. No.
All the New Year resolutions that
are
you
not
hope
coming.
to check
but
off
this
your
is
list.
To let you know that God has not finished with it. Anything can happen before the end of this year. And indeed, if the year ends, it's just an end of a calendar year, not the end of your life. Yeah.
So what should attendees expect? What is that X factor for this edition?
An intimate encounter with God. Know that you will not go back the same. You are not just coming to dance and shout. No, I don't believe in that worship where you come and dance and you go home tired. This one, you go home rejuvenated. You go home re-energized. You go home refocused. You go home knowing that something has changed. Right. Something has definitely changed.
I will be there.
Thank you for correcting yourself.
Yes, I wanted to say I want to, but I will be there. So for 14 years now, organizing a large-scale event like this, what are some of the challenges that you face?
Oh, it's always, it quite recently dawned on me. It's because that it's all, I'm going through all this because I am not a gospel artist. I'm not in the music scene. I'm not even in the church. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a pastor's wife. I'm not a pastor's child. So people don't really know me in that area. But we've been doing this for 14 years. Yeah. Every time it's a challenge. And every time I ask myself, why do I keep doing this? But I become restless if I don't do it.
What is the challenge? Is it about organization? Is
Organization,
it sponsorship?
I just thank God. For getting the artists, it's always, I won't say easy, but they are always gracious. I just call them and, or some of them will say that maybe they have other events. I remember Uncle Ato was very sad because he's not around. Okay. Neil Kai said, sis, you need to change the dates. I said, it can't be. He also is not in town. There are people who really wanted to come, but they are not. But I have the solid
team. So who's coming? Who's coming this
Empress time? Gift Yadoye. Okay. Rama Enchi. Sandra Afre. Okay. Kasimate, Selena Boateng, BB Stelling, Minister Lawson, Jessima, and there's an amazing choir coming from all the way from Takrady. They are called Steve O and the Broken Chains. Listen, you don't want to miss them.
You are oozing with passion.
It's amazing. And this is, they are being, and I'd like to say thank you to the Western Regional Minister. He decided to sponsor them, their transportation and everything. So I am good because I don't know how I would have done it. But I'm so grateful they're coming. We also have Manya Bessie, that Adan girl who sings in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa and all that, but she can't speak Manye.
I thought that was Gada.
She's Gada, but she can't speak the language to save her life. But she sings with understanding. Right. We have some new artists as well. And have you seen Hagan, Minister Richard Hagan, the minister with the dreadlocks? Yeah. He's going to lead worship. We are starting. We are starting with full vim. Yes. No joking.
Very demure, huh?
I'm so trying to understand where that thing is coming from.
Gen Z's just turn everything around these days. So let's give details on when, where, time, And
it's this Saturday, the 24th of August, 2024, at Tema First Baptist Church, Community 5 Traffic Light. It is free and open to all. 1 p.m. prompts, we are starting. First 100 people together before 12:30 are getting special gift from me, because we are going live at 1 p.m. prompt. No, I mean, no wasting
delays,
of time, nothing. We are trying to be like Uncle Ebo, starting on time, you know, because I tell people that even if it's 2 people, there'll be people waiting online to watch. So we are
also
going.
will be broadcasted live?
Yes, it will be live.
Okay,
it will be streamed live. And we are talking to Praise TV as well to see how they can help us. But I'd like to say thank you to Multimedia for the support for their platform so far. It's been amazing since we started the program. And then also thank you to Praise TV and all the other media houses who will be joining us. We are so grateful to them.
This is not the only thing you're doing.
No.
You also have A Happy Day for 150 Pregnant Women event.
Yes.
That's an interesting theme, you know, title for an event.
Yes.
What's happening here?
That's the 3rd edition. You know, we need to, when Jesus met the multitude, he fed them. That is why the Giftianti Foundation is not just about empowering and talking. It's about also giving and showing the way. We had the Girl in Need Foundation, where we help girls 18 years and above and below go back to school, stay in school, learn a skill or trade. Yes. We have the Library Project, where we give books. This year, my birthday, I gave 2,500 books out to various communities. We have the Happy Feet, where Christmas, we give shoes to children in rural communities. And then we have the Easter feeding. This year, Easter, we fed over 2,000 kids across the country. Now, a happy day for 150 pregnant women. This is the 3rd edition.
Okay.
The story is that we talk about women taking care of themselves. We talk about postpartum depression. We talk about maternal and infant mortality. This is bringing the women together to give them one happy day. Women in rural communities, sometimes they suffer from day 1 of pregnancy. Even sometimes the process of getting pregnant is out of pain, rape and all that. We bring these women together to give them one happy day. We give them wipes, diapers, baby clothes, soap, anything they need.
And information?
We take the opportunity to educate them on how to take care of themselves, how to space their birthing, you know, how to ask questions when they go to the hospital. You know, we have to eat well as pregnant women and when they give birth. So when you have given them something, they know you care, so they will listen. They know you have, and we make sure they eat the food there. They don't package and take it home.
Okay.
No. You eat there. We'll feed them, and thanks to La Bianca and then Vena Mineral Water and Bigger Drinks and the other supporters for making this possible. Okay. But then we are pleading that people should donate wipes, diapers, baby clothes, baby food, and anything that we can, you know, make it possible.
And this time you're going to Adam.
We are going to Adam for, and thanks to
this beautiful
Nana,
Queen Mother.
Beautiful Queen Mother, Nana Dumale. She's an amazing woman. Okay. Last year we had to go Moafete. This year, Greater Accra, and we decided to go to Adan, and we are going to the Adan 4 because that's where they have the clinic, and the midwife and nurses are very excited.
Oh, so the event will be at the clinic? At the clinic
compound, not there. So what we are doing is we are bringing women from the various communities. Ideally, we should have gone across the, whatever, they said go to the islands, but with a load of things we have. So we'll be bringing them from the islands to Adanfo and then celebrate them, make them happy, so that when they give birth, they will remember that when they were pregnant with this one, there was some joy, and that joy will be transferred to that child. And gradually, we'll grow a society, a community of children with compassion, love, understanding.
There's a surprise element that would wrap up this conversation. Do you want to tell us about it? Because you've not told me. You have an exclusive information to give us on this AM show this morning. Tell us.
My first children's book.
Yay! Of all the books you've written, this is the first time you're writing a book specifically
that will be my 8th book.
Yes.
But then it's my first children's book.
Okay.
Children's book for ages 6 to 10 years.
Inspired by?
Inspired by my little girl, you know, who dares to dream and insist on her dream.
Yeah.
You know, and the moral of the story is that everything is possible.
What's the title? Oh, come on. You can't give us such a scoop without some details.
Okay, let me give it. It's about the princess and Jazz, the pink puppy.
The pink puppy. I saw on your status that she got a pink puppy recently.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
I see what you did.
Yeah, it's part fiction and part, you know, real story. So it's just.
When should we expect this book?
October.
October.
God willing.
Okay. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Before we wrap up and go, what will be your final words to our
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to all our sponsors: NLA Good Causes Foundation, Amadia Shopping Center, Old Mutual, Nat One Skincare, Al Cuisine, Sigma Health and Beauty, African Resources Management, Phoenix Decor, 20 Craft, Matma Catering Services, Mivac Travel and Tours, House of Food, Best Deals, Global, Venom Mineral Water, Techno Ghana, Exclusive Towels, La Bianca, Blue Skies, they said they will come later. They haven't come yet.
They will come
okay, Yakwa Tie-Dye, Wadam's Local Bar, Viscrown, Handicrafts, Gigi's Kitchen, and of course, Sally Mart, all the way in Takrady. We are so grateful to them. But it's this Saturday. It's free, open to all. Please come. Let's have a worship. It's not about numbers. It's about the quality of time that you have there to worship. We promise we won't take too much, but hey, it's going to be prophetic. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be life-changing. And I promise you, you'll not go back the same. If you want to support us, the number is 0598 586868. 0598 586868. And donate towards this. Diapers, wipes, everything possible. We'll be grateful and God will bless you. Plenty, plenty, plenty. There are people who have given birth since last year because they donated. And if you check my timeline on social media, all the testimonies are there.
What more can I add to that? Fantastic. Auntie Gifty, all the best. And I will be seeing you. You know,
on Saturday.
I grew up watching you. I have to add this. And then the first time I saw you, I think it was at my father's book launch. You did a review of it. And I thought, oh my God, she's here. Thank you so much for...
And I'm here because your father dared me.
He did?
He dared me to do better.
Now I want to hear the story, but
I will tell you later.
Right, so right before we go, I'm inviting you to escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Jurapa, Dubai. You've seen the rest, now it's time to see the best. Take a break from work and take a break from the south. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Jurapa, Dubai is the best place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from the stress of the south. And what awaits you? Unforgettable safari experience, amazing array of wildlife, including lions, hippopotamuses, zebras, ostriches, and many others, using our spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or quad bikes. There is also water sports, such as jet skiing, boat and canoe rides, among others. And there are various family games to keep you and your family excited all day long, so you don't want to miss it. And of course, great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, like the Mushroom Rock, the Slave Cave, etc. So, escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel for an unforgettable safari experience. Call them on 050-169-4280 or 024-88-444-63 for reservations and further inquiries. And that's our show for this morning, the AM show with me, Sweetie Aboshi. Thank you so much for watching. I'm back tomorrow at 6 a.m. sharp. But for now, Joy News Desk is up next with Faustina Safo.
Thank you.